can, that's not, oh yeah, I got that.
You wanted it back.
I could have.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, we're going to have Glenn start us off.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. Kind of have a short agenda. We've got it's going to be a packed house tonight, we believe, and so we're got to get our beauty rest. So the CSU memorandum of understanding is at 5 to 6:30, and then from 6:30 to 8, the parents of 4-H kids have been invited, and it sounds like a lot of them are going to come. Over in the the meeting's going to be in the county annex. So, commissioners, back to the agenda. You had the opportunity to look at the minutes.
Yes, I have, Commissioner, and I would move that the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, dated December 11, 2017, be approved.
Second.
Motion second to approve the proceedings of the Board of Montezuma County Commissioners for December 11th, 2017. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have our fearless assessor that's going to come up here and give us
Ruby, would you come on up?
I'm here, Clark.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Have a name for each of them?
Yeah, yes, you got
I'm gonna
it.
start wearing a name tag over, so there's no
We make
question.
sure it's blank so we can write your name
Oh,
on it when you
okay.
come in,
Got
yeah?
Whoever I am for
Yeah,
today.
who you are today.
So I just have the TASC contract. This is for Jerry Wisdom. He comes down and does all of the oil and gas personal property
Personal property
valuations.
valuations, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And as far as I know, nothing's changed from last year.
that's good.
Nothing was. Did you read the one from last year?
I did. I didn't. I mean, I read it last year. I didn't compare the two, but I read this one. It's fine. It's good. It's written really well.
He kept his charge, his fees and stuff pretty much the same.
As far as I know, I've not seen one before.
Oh, it's the first time you've ever seen one.
I didn't compare the prices. If you're curious about that,
Could you do that quick like John?
I don't know. I might be able to.
I mean, not
If I
that
can find it.
it's not going
Is
to
it
change any.
TASC?
Yeah,
TASC, yes.
TASC, yeah.
I did review that, and it's
The
good.
contract's good. I just
I do
want-
know we pay him, I was aware that we paid him in 3 different payments. You know, when he comes to do a part of it, then we pay him for that part.
Right.
And then,
He does a valuable service for us.
yes, he
Oh, I
does.
know he does. I mean, I'm not questioning that at all. I just wanted to see if there were any increases in his fees.
Well, and there's no other way for us to value the
I know, I mean-
Kinder Morgan, because the Bells don't have CO2 equipment. So he's our only,
He's the only solution.
he's all we have.
Okay. Not questioning his value to us, just
No, I
wondering
know.
if how he's going, so. I guess we'll go ahead and pass this, we'll just do that for comparison. I would move that the contract services with TASC Company for the personal property assessments for Kinder Morgan be approved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the CSCS contract for the assessor's office for 2018. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
How's things going over there?
Good.
How are your new
Just waiting
hands?
for her report. I love them.
Are they working out good for you? Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Just waiting for the mill levy report so I can get tax roll done.
Did she tell you that we're having trouble with the mosquito district?
So I was hearing that, yeah.
Any movement on that stipulation?
I sent it. Haven't heard anything yet. I told him he could contact me or, however.
Yeah. I'm not seeing the task contract, so we'll just wait.
Okay.
Repeal the motion if it comes back.
Yeah, Melissa was gonna go take a look. I think she probably had it in her.
Do you want me to wait and have Kim sign this, or do you want me to have Lynn sign it?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's fine. Yeah.
Lynn can,
I mean, you have authority to sign for it,
good
right?
to get her name on a contract or two, Is Kim gone?
She is out ill.
Yeah. Oh, she is. She got.
Billy's looking it up.
Okay. I mean, it's not a big issue. I just wondered if we were staying pretty much with the same level.
I mean, when I first read it, I actually was. The first thing that dawned on me was, why doesn't Leslie just sign this? Why is it a commissioner contract? But he actually is working for us sometimes, especially if the oil and gas people that are assessed contest what he
Contest it,
does.
yeah.
Then all of a sudden, he's on working for you,
Yeah,
not
right.
necessarily
Gotcha.
Leslie.
Yeah, for all the appeals.
Yeah, Board of Appeals.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Get us the numbers in a minute.
Okay.
So is it do you think it's a flat rate? Oh,
It is a flat rate,
It's broken up into
And
three
it's-
it's
sections.
but it's
into
like got
3
different-
payments.
okay,
phases. And
okay.
Yeah, we pay him 3 different,
7,200 and something like that.
7250, 1450, and 7250. For the year.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Thank you. Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
There we go.
Okay, we have several transfer
it's like 29 something.
orders.
I don't know for sure.
that
72, you want the total numbers?
Just total.
7250, 14 what, and 72?
14,572.50.
Yeah. So I think it ends up being, what,
29
30,
something.
29,000 something.
29,000 even, We're pretty good.
Yeah. Pretty close, huh?
Yeah, close enough for me.
Mhm.
Transfer orders.
Yeah.
A lot of these have to do with year-end stuff, and the first one that I have is the transfer from the county general to the public health fund for the per capita calculation, $1.50 per.
Resident.
It's a year in arrears, so this is the 2016 DOLA estimate of Montezuma County, and I can't remember what that number was.
does it tell how many people?
I can tell you.
Yeah, it goes by population. $1.50 per person, right?
26,906 is what they feel, that's what DOLA
Is our
says
population.
the population was. It's very
That's up.
interesting because when you go and look at the history, when they actually have the history, they go ching, 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 ching. When you look at the projections, when you look at 1 year at a time and 5 years and 10 years out, it goes ching, 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 ching.
Yeah.
So the reality kind of comes in like this versus the,
The speculation,
Yeah.
yeah.
so.
Well, they told us CCI, Montezuma, La Plata, and whether the county, I don't know if it was Dolores or not, are going to be the fastest growing counties in the state in their coming projections. That we're gonna.
We need them to build some houses.
We're gonna see. Yeah, I know we're building them. I know we're just those septic permits. I know we're building them, and
So-
there's a lot going on.
Just not fast
What do
enough.
they do for a living?
I don't know what they're gonna do for a living. I think those people in California can get their insurance checks and come out here and
They're tired of getting burned up.
tired of getting burned up and, say, time to leave.
Can we do all of these at one time?
I think we could. Are
Okay.
you okay with that, Lynn?
I'm sorry.
When we do the
For
transfers?
orders.
Yes.
And did I give you copies of each one of these?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the first one. The second one, these are year end. Well, they're not quite year end. They're my best guess through November. We still are collecting a little bit of sales tax on previous things from the jail bond.
Jail bond,
And so it goes into that. So this is the amount through November.
Yeah.
$381.64. So
Yeah.
that goes into the general fund and it helps cover operations of the jail. This is last year's,
Well, this is the last one paid.
29,000.
Okay, so it's the same.
It's the same.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks for finding that.
She's good.
She's on Johnny on the spot.
She was on the phone when
What
I.
is Johnny?
All right, Juanita.
The next one here is transfer from the Conservation Trust to general fund. This is 50% of the salaries and benefits of the employees out there. And this could be, I mean, in the future, if we have a project or something like this that might include the project before 2017, it was just salaries and benefits. 18 is, estimate for the LEA, $895,300. And that covers the 5 deputies, benefits, 30% for all the post-certified employees, and then the associated expenses of those 5 deputies, like their vehicle expense, their fuel, phones, and things like that. And number 19 is, come on.
And those 5 deputies are in addition to the regular deputies that patrol?
Yes.
And they're supposed to be for the county. I think they're aren't they defined as,
I think, well, all of them are.
I know for the county, but wasn't there some specification on that, on their
when
duties?
they-
Because the tax only comes from county
from
residents,
from county
right,
residents.
non-municipalities, so I
But
think.
municipalities are covered through their own, their own
I
police
got you.
forces, which is the Cortez and then the town of
Dolores and
Dolores.
Mancos.
But the town of Dolores ones, they kind of cross over a little
Right.
bit because of the agency that they work for. So,
But it seems like Steve was telling us one time that he has 3 deputies at all times on patrol.
I think two
2,
all the time.
at least 2, especially at night. And then I think during the day, they've got more.
So what I'm trying to figure, if you got 5 that are for this,
Funded through this.
But we have like, what, how many total?
I think, patrol deputy, I don't know. I'm going to say 20. Then you've got supervisors, and I don't know how much the supervisors are out on the road and things like that. I don't know those operations.
but how can you only have 2 at a time if you have 20?
Well, 24/7.
Yeah.
By the time you take, because it takes 3 a day,
8-hour shifts and.
you know.
But still, the numbers, like, I can't figure out the numbers either, but I don't know how that works. Scheduling.
It would be interesting to see a schedule.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
just
if you got one person that works
Right.
5 days a week, from, say they got swing shift,
It seems like there would be more than 2 or 3
Yes,
on duty at all
that's what it
times
is.
with that many deputies. We
Well,
have
that's what I'm
26 or
saying,
whatever.
but I don't think they have count them as 26. I think they count them as like 20.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got the supervisors. You got supervisors. Each supervisor has like 4 of their own. So I think that's.
That'd be an interesting question, just to have Steve show us how he schedules out his deputies.
It'd be kind of interesting because when I was over there, I saw the jail schedule, and you got this big chart, you know, of how many people you have. You've got one in the control room, one for this and one for this, you know, and you kind of look at it and get names put in there, and then you can tell where there's holes, you know, when they're short someone or this or that. And so when someone calls in sick, then that puts a big red bar, you know, that we can't check this, or we can't do transports that day, or whatever they do. So I think I'm assuming that they have the same thing for
The patrols.
the patrols. I mean, with the jail, it's quite obvious because you can't not have someone in the control room. And so some of that information, you know, if it just had names ABC, Patrol 8, you know. But it's a humongous spreadsheet thing, and they kind of plug people in. If someone wants to take a day off, so that makes a hole, and then they see who's not there, who hasn't filled in their time, and see if anybody wants to fill in that spot. You know, if it's a vacation type thing when they're sick, it just makes it, when they have to start calling someone in that had already worked, then you've got overtime.
but still, if you had 3 people that did the 24 hours, so surely they work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, those 3 people can handle the 5 days. If I'm adding that up right.
Yeah, 5.
So
But
that leaves 17.
No, they have to go 7 days, but
You have 2 on the patrol, you're talking 6 a day.
Oh, okay, you're right. I didn't add that up. But
6.
still, that's
And
that's
then-
6. And
But
so
then you've
6
got to
times.
count about around 20% of the time someone's going to be on either sick or vacation or work comp or
Somebody
FMLA
else.
or, you know. paternity leave, maternity leave, you know, so you gotta count 20 to 25% of the time that they're gone.
So if we had that business model at our livestock auction, we would have been out of business 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That-
But you're having to do this round the clock too. That's
Right.
that's where you get, I think, bunched up, is where you've got people in service on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I used to supervise an operation where it was 24/7, and I had 4 people that covered that operation 24/7. But as Melissa said, whenever somebody didn't show up or for some reason took a day off, the other guys worked overtime to cover them. So
And Steve's got a lot of overtime.
5 people to cover 24/7 is reasonable. Okay.
Sorry.
So that's okay. But it's a very interesting thing, and next time he's on schedule, I will ask him just to give us
Yeah, give us
just to kind of see what it looks like, because it's actually big and overwhelming. So, but
What was that first one?
public health per
first one
capita.
was the
40,000?
per capita. Here's
Yeah,
copies of all of them.
40,359.
There's each one of them is right there, James, if you want to see those. In those papers right there.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
No, he just needs one more and he's got them all wrote
Yeah, the
down.
very
I've all
last
written down the
one.
one, had it, I missed part of it.
Which
The
one?
last one is ETA, the Emergency Telephone Authority. And what we have is we have 20% of the GIS salaries and benefits go into the ETA. Previously, we had 50% of the addressing position, but we don't have that position. So that's kind of why this has taken that place, because these guys are the one doing assigning addresses and correcting things and working with emergency services to get those maps. So this is actually a little less than the 50% of a full-time person, but
Which number did you need?
I got it. I just had to have the first one that she gave. I got it. I'll move that transfer orders number 15-2017, number 16-2017, number 17-2017, number 18-2017, number 19-2017 be approved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve transfer orders number 15, 2017, number 16, 2017, 17, 2017, 18, 2017, and 19, 2017. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Got it?
yep.
Okay, at this time we have public comment. If somebody would like to comment to the commissioners, you can come up to the podium and state your name and address. Okay, seeing none, we'll go to Rob Englehart, which is the road supervisor from Montezuma County, for his weekly road report.
Morning, Rob.
Hi, Rod.
Morning, Rob.
Good morning.
All right.
I'm peachy. Or actually, I'm tan.
It's all peach but the tip, huh?
Ought to be able to bill them out like cards as many times you did it.
You'd think so, but okay, schedule. Cortez, last week we got that water valve connected out at the Bureau of Reclamation. So we dug down and found that line going from the vault, from the siphon over to the Fairgrounds vault, and connected into that. And so that's in as a riser with a cap on it, and then we'll figure out next spring how we're exactly going to do that. We're hoping that there's enough pressure off the siphon to load our trucks,
Still with trucks.
but if not, there's a threaded cap on it. We'll shut the valve off and put a regular valve on there, and then we'll have to pump. So, but it's in. It's all done. We got all the little barricades put up. We got the gravel down and everything according to the way that the Bureau would like to see it.
Good deal.
And we're hoping to see a letter from the Bureau this week. I was hoping to see it last week, actually, giving us permission to use their easement there. So I'm talking to some outside sources, said it was on the way. So I think it's just a matter of getting it done. So anyway, we're moving along with that. And then today they started working down on Road G. This is that little project we've been working on for the last couple of months. We got the culvert in. Remember I told you that? All that put back together. Last week we got it all graded so it drains properly, and now we're working the cattails. And this is about 4 miles down the canyon from the port of entry. This is what we call that little alkali flats area, where it's just swamp and cattails on both sides.
Alkali everywhere.
So we found a place to take the cattails and the mud and all the garbage, and we're going to take it out, and we're going to reline the ditch, or regrade the ditch, and get all the drainage working down through there. So that's what they're working on this week. Should be, I hope, a couple of days there, and then we'll be done with that. But it is a lot of traffic down there, so we had to put extra people down there, traffic control, and work that out of there. So they're working on that. And then general maintenance, basically the 27th and 28th, just for your information, is vacation days, basically. It's 72 days in between the holidays. And so you're seeing a lot of vacations, so we call it general maintenance. There's a few guys that won't be off on vacation, so we're just going to kind of go around and take care of the hot calls that come in, and whatever happens, we'll be able to
A
respond.
lot of guys are taking vacation.
About 98%, So,
And no snow, so why not? Take it now, man.
So we're hoping that Thursday will be our day for the snow, and then we'll have a nice Christmas and won't have to worry about it this year. So Mancus, they did some maintenance last week, but they also got Road K.6. This is that turnaround that we
Yeah, did you get that?
We got it built. They're dressing it out today and tomorrow. We're doing some final culvert work, and then we'll probably bring some gravel in after the holidays. We got to spread gravel on that road with the end dumps because we can't turn belly dumps around in there. But it's a great job, and compliments to the folks that live there. They stepped forward and said, we'll let you have a little bit of this. We did the permission slips to get the easement. Ernie will go back over and measure it now and put it on a plat, make it all legitimate, but it ended up being about a 50-foot turnaround there to turn the equipment around. So the Hatfield-McCoy war is over, we think, there. So we think we got that one settled down, and it's a good thing for everybody over there.
Good
So
deal.
it worked out well.
Good for school buses, good for road
Yep.
maintenance, good for everybody.
Yep, and emergency vehicles and fire
Right.
trucks and all that. So it took some effort. We had to have a few meetings and figure out what we wanted to do, and everybody had to work with us, but we got it done. So very happy about that. So they'll work on that this week, kind of cleaning that up, and then a couple other roads that are getting a little bit rough over there, 41 and H going to the west, we need to work on. So we'll get that done this week. Dolores, we went up last week and worked on it's called Spruce Water Creek is what it is. There was a culvert we put in a couple of years ago that was starting to get some erosion to it, so we put some riprap in around that, and that's up on that Stapleton Road 36. Got that done. And then they're also working on the fence, and they're coming around with that fence this week, so they should wrap that up this week and be pretty much done with all that. Roundup, they did some shouldering on Road 22 and U last week, come out really well. They're also moving brush off of Road Z between 21 and 22, opening that up so we can get ready to pull slopes and put some gravel on that. T and 18 is where they're hauling gravel to. They're on actually 18 today. They'll wrap that up probably tomorrow. And then we're going up to Pleasant View to work on those corners out on 8 and BB and out through there. Get that done. We'd like to see most of that done before the holiday, but if not, we'll get right back in it right after the holidays, wrap it up, and then go to Mancus and take care of what I just said. But all that's moving along real well out there. The roads are in pretty good shape now, and just kind of waiting for the snow now. So
We all are.
yeah, I know it's pretty bad. Trucks. We hauled some sand to the fairgrounds last week. Got that done, but I need to get just a little bit more hauled to him, but we'll get that probably after the holidays. Of course, T, BB, and 8, and then most of the drivers are gone for vacation in 2 days on the 27th, 28th, so the trucks will be shut down. Crushing, we're still crushing 3/4, mostly because we started hauling out of hay camp pretty heavy, and he's just keeping it full. Weather's good, and we're just keep right on crushing. We've been rescreening them old dirty chips, and that's working very well. We're getting a lot of that dirt and stuff out of them that's accumulated in them over the years. So we're doing real well up there.
Yeah.
As long as the weather stays good, we're just going to keep pounding away at it. Yeah.
Keep piling it up.
Yeah, so we're doing good on that. So, should we try this thing?
Shall we try this?
I can't remember what you gave me.
They're gonna try something here, man.
PowerPoint.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know about this, Rob.
I came down and practiced with her, so I think we can do. I think we can do this. So,
I slept since then.
I know, me too. That's why I brought the thumb drive if you need it. So,
That's coming, sorry.
what it is our end of the year rundown. It's you know, the girls are very good at this out there doing the PowerPoints. I'm not, but they are. But this year was easy because we've been there for 3 years. We finally got a system now.
Got it, yeah.
We know exactly all year where we put our information, where we put our quantities. And at the end of the year, I say, okay, here we go. And we just pull it right off our budget pretty much. So,
Yeah.
so
It's that down there, right there.
down there, okay. So this is our 2017 Road and Bridge end of the year summary. These are our construction activities. We've got our dust abatement in the spring, asphalt, chip seal, and we do striping, gravel, culverts, signs. We talk about some fuel usage and water usage, what we use, because those are enormous numbers. And it's like, wow. So, and fuel we watch pretty close because on an annual budget with fuel escalation, we have to watch that pretty close. You know, we don't want to
It can change it a
go
lot.
broke over $4 a gallon fuel, but we still want to work, you know, so we have to kind of watch that, so. So first one is dust abatement and gravel stabilization. We did 77 miles last year, used 940 gallons of mag chloride. 68 miles was funded by Montezuma County, where Kinder Morgan and the Forest Service actually jumped in and did 8 miles if you combine them together. And then we had 1.2 miles of private individuals, 400 foot at a time, that could come in and pay so much to get some in front of their house.
Property, yeah, property.
So that's pretty much how the mag chloride was spread out throughout the county and how many miles we did last year.
That's a lot.
That's a bunch.
It is, and you know, as we do more chip sealing, you'd think that number would come down, but it doesn't. What we do is then we add another road.
Another road,
We
yeah,
take a
another-
mile out of service this way, we put it in chip seal, but we just take another mile of gravel somewhere else that gives us problems, and we put it over there.
Yeah.
So we've been holding around 77, 78 miles a year, pretty regular, so. Asphalt, on the hot asphalt patching, we spread 2,384 tons. Cortez District did 785. Dolores District was a big year for them this year. They hadn't been up there for a few years, so we did 940 tons up there. The Roundup got 530, and then Mancus got 127 ton. And this is what we call pave patching, go around fixing the bad spots in the road. So we put that down. And then we did 9.4 miles of paving. We did Road 25. 1.4 miles of that, got 3 inches. That was from the city limits up to Road M. And Road P to T.5, we did 3.5 miles of overlay. And then, of course, we did the big project out there with CC this year, 4.5 miles,
Yeah.
4 inch. And that is so nice to have that. That just took so much pressure off those road crews, not having to be out there constantly taking care of that.
One part is the distance out there, you know?
Yeah.
By the time you get your equipment,
It's up on
you
the
know.
north end of your district. It's the furthest, I mean, yeah.
And it was real hard to take care of because it was that old ground up asphalt. There was no binder in it. You know, once it kind of dusted out, then it was hard to take care of. So we had to keep putting a lot of mag chloride in it, a lot of materials, and just kept working. It was a really tough one. So that's been a big help. Getting that 4.5 miles of asphalt down has been a tremendous help to us. This is our blade patching crew. You can see how they kind of work that. The trucks are behind and they work 2 blades, one each direction, then they come in and roll it. So I just threw a few pictures in there to kind of remind everybody what each thing is. This is Road CC.
Wow.
Come out nice, huh?
The Highway West.
Yes.
I'll bet, Husband Week's happy with that.
Oh yeah, they're very happy,
Yeah.
and the sort of the local folks. You know, it's just much nicer. You know, the
Except
paint.
for people don't know to go on it because the signs go.
Still there, huh?
I should have took care of that sign.
Might have a little fire out there.
You know, I had just talked to the Park Service, and they're still good with CDOT. CDOT's behind schedule, but it is going to get moved and new ones put in. So it's happening, just when, I don't know.
When? Yeah.
I hope it's within his term, you know?
I can assure you if it's not, it's that one sign's gonna disappear.
I know,
Maybe
I
I'll
know.
have another one telling them where to go.
He
but
might
that
actually
one-
win and I go take it down, yeah. So anyway, that's CC.
Well, if we get the sheriff's schedule, we can make sure there's somewhere else when you guys go out there to take them
Take it
down.
down.
Exactly, yeah,
We'll make
there's
sure
only
the
two
patrol's
deputies,
there,
if I can't outsmart two of them, I'm in trouble, yeah. Chip seal, we did this year 5 miles up at Road 42, extension on into Forest Service 561. We did 7.5 miles here in the Cortez district, and that was Road 22, 23, and L. And part of Nancy, they forgot to put that on there, but we had a mile in on there with it. And then CC and Road 10, of course, we did 2 miles out there where we finished that paving, we went on and then went south and got 10. So that tied that all together. So that gave us a total of 14.5 miles of new chip seal this year. And tons of oil was 1,272 ton of oil to do that. 347 of those ton went to County Road 42, 699 went to Cortez, and then of course 226 ton went out there to Pleasant View. And that's how we buy that, it's by the ton. So very expensive. It's about $16,000 a load. Every time you see a truck pulls up there, it goes $16,000.
Wow.
So, yeah, very expensive.
Yeah, I've seen some of the bills you paid to that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Here's some of the chip sealing operation. This is actually a different job, but it was always one of my favorite pictures. I don't know why I like that one, but I did. And I just pulled it out of the archives to show how we do it, but same thing, so. Paint striping this year, double yellow center and white edges. We did 1.19 miles on County Road 25 from the city limits to the road in. And then we did 2.8 miles from P to T.5 where we did the white lines with it. And then of course the one out at CC, we did that 3.77 miles there. We will go in this year and now next year and finish striping that out there, James, after we'd have 1 year on the chip seal and all that settles down. All of them will get paint next year after that settles down 1 year. So striping with a double yellow only. You can read the numbers from U all the way to G, all the way across there. We did a lot of miles, 22 miles last year where we went out and painted new stripes. And then made a total of right at 30 miles of new striping this year, which we're budgeted to do the same again in 2018. We're just trying to pick up these new ones plus some old ones every year. And then hopefully don't waste money on ones we tear up. We try to look at that too, not to be painting the road that we're going to grind up the next year. You know, so.
Well, do you have a contractor for that?
We do. We work with a guy out of Montrose, and we have another one in Durango too that's really good. But between the two of them, they are able to get to us, you know, in the summertime instead of having to wait till it's winter and then not get them. So, but we do have a contractor. Gravel, we crushed a total of 238,433 tons this year. 5,900 of that was 1.5 inch out of Ormiston. 3/4 came out of Montezuma County. It was 187,680. That's the 3 pits that we crushed in the most this year. And then we had Wimanooch. WCA did 39,400 out of Mancus for us. We crushed 5,400 ton of chips. So, and then to do that, we moved 260,000 ton of overburden with a dozer. You know, it's a tremendous operation all year long. It's go, go, go. So then out of that, we hauled, what's that total hauled tons? 151,145 is what we hauled this year. 1.5 inch was 12,725. We put 110,099 tons of 3/4 road base down on the roads, 20,000 ton of chips, and 7,400 ton of 5/8 chips. And then we reseeded 16.7 acres this year. So we got that done, and that's all moving along well now. So total miles gravel in the county this year were 35 miles. And there's the crusher, the Wimanooch. Some of you have seen that picture before, but that was their operation in Mancus. Of course, everything in the background now is full of gravel. All that area is all plumb full. And this is where we was up at Ormiston. We were just kicking off this year up at Ormiston, getting ready to go there. And of course, all that in the background is plumb full of 3/4 now.
Yeah.
All the 1.5's gone. And well, we got a pretty good chunk of 3/4 out of there this year too. So we've hauled quite a bit out of there. Well, you did all CC, 10, and all that got gravelled out there so we could do paving. So
Right.
this is a little shouldering job we was doing last week with some of the gravel out of Hay Camp. That was out on Road U out at Areola. and just laying it down and just shouldering it off that ragged edge there where it's settled over the last couple of years. Pretty simple. You just take your belly dump and walk down through there and spread it out, and then let a blade easily take it off, and hopefully you don't skin that chip seal.
Did you get your rubber blade?
No, it's coming though,
Yeah.
but we can't wait. We had to keep on trying. But this is a good road here. It's pretty stable and it's pretty flat. It's one of the newer roads that doesn't have a lot of this in it. So we're able to clean that off with the broom and then a water truck right behind it. So cleans it up. Gravel Road 13 out at Pleasant View got done this year. We've been promising those folks out there for years we'd get that done, so it's done. Inch and a half plus the 3/4 on top of that. So that was a mile of new road this year. And that really helps because that's one that we need to cross over in the wintertime
Exactly.
when we're doing plowing. That takes us out of this long circle to get around to the other
Gets
side.
you a cut across and, yeah.
So, this isn't us, but it's just a picture that we pulled up for pipe, but we did 66 crossings this year, and we used about 3,135 foot of culvert. So, yeah, it's a culvert-hungry county, I'm telling you. And you know what? Every one of them are rotten. Every
Yeah.
one we pull out is rotten.
It's like you said, the soil, a lot of that, there's a lot of alkali in a lot of the soils around here, and I'll tell you that alkali eats that galvanized pipe up.
But they're old too.
Yeah,
Some of them are 20
yeah.
years old. The guys don't even remember the last time they changed them, you know? So it's just been that long since the culverts were serious. So
What's your most common size culvert that you replace?
15 and 18. 15 to 18. A lot of 24s, but 15 to 18 is the most common. Yeah. Signs. We replaced 204 signs and 100 signposts this year. So
This
Melissa's
one makes
goal
me
is
happy.
still going, yes.
No,
it's very healthy.
It's improving very much.
It is. You can see a lot of difference in the signs out there. But that's been a 3-year project too. That just never really goes, well, it does go away. It's getting better every year. So,
When
but
they
that's what we put this year. So.
Installed a lot of, you got stop signs, but stop ahead and, I think
Warning
they've done.
signs.
Yeah.
Warning signs, yep.
Have you guys been on that new road that the city did that goes behind Walmart on the east
I
side?
haven't.
Oh, well,
By the
you
high
need to go
school?
on. Well, because there's a sign every 20 feet that says no parking. Like we're a bunch of idiots. I mean, you just, it's crazy how many signs they put there.
Well, just to warn you, there are stop signs on Montezuma now.
Yes, there are.
Yeah, I saw
They're
that.
four-way stops
Don't
now.
get a ticket on one.
And down
Yeah.
there with that street, what is it, comes up, Harrison comes up on Market and Harrison are four-way stops.
Why
now.
would they do that on
I
Montezuma?
heard it's
think
'cause of
the
school.
cross-traffic is just having a difficulty going across I think that parkway is so busy. You get on a side street and you have a tough time getting across.
That's not fair to us. Let's live here our whole life.
I know,
I'll tell you
'cause you
what,
just do what you're
I can run those
supposed to
so
do.
quick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a ticket waiting to happen.
I caught somebody going the wrong way in the one-way right in front of the post office the
Oh,
other
yeah.
day. JJ was driving, I'm like, that's wrong. No one's
I've
supposed to be
seen a
doing
number of
that.
tourists do that. A number of tourists get in here and come down First Street and turn up there.
Yeah.
I think they're 20 years behind time. All they need is roundabouts.
Roundabouts. That part, or Empire Mildred needs a round, man, I'll tell you that needs a roundabout bad. So those things work. I mean, they work.
Yeah, they do.
They
They
work
do.
well. Maybe we'll put one in to be the first.
I mean, if down there at Cameron, that major highway going to Flagstaff,
Mm-hmm.
they've got one in that highway, which is one of the major highways to tie.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if you can put one in on a major highway,
Grand Junction's got several.
They've
on
got them
there.
everywhere.
you're-
Be quiet, Gayla. Quiet. Get that thumb out of here, Gayla.
I'll tell you what, in South America, you better learn how to use them
You
because
better
that's how
use them,
they do
that's
them.
all they've got,
That's all
isn't
they
it?
got.
Yeah, that's all they've
don't.
got.
I don't think they have enough electricity for lights. They just go in circles down
When
there.
you look at the cost of a traffic
Yeah.
signal,
Yeah,
you know what?
well, look at all the fuel they're burning by stopping and then going and
Yes.
stopping and going.
and tearing up the roads, pushing that asphalt
Yeah,
and
you
everything.
start bunching
Yes.
up that asphalt.
It makes
and
perfect
everything,
sense.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree. I'm gonna put one at BB and 8.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. 2018 project.
All that Kinder Morgan traffic out there, I'm gonna loop them around.
Never get another cookie.
Okay, you win.
He's bribable.
That's not good to say in
Evidently.
public.
Yeah, that's it.
Cookies work, it
Cookies
sounds
work,
like.
oh, yeah.
So,
Fuel usage. Last year we used 125,569 at the end of November, so we're still going. And this is a big year for us. Gasoline, we pumped 11,000, but 125,000 gallons of diesel is a lot of fuel.
That's a lot of fuel.
Yeah. This is our chart that we kind of watch. We watch this for budgetary reasons only, but blue is your 2016, and we were at about, I can't read the numbers there. We're at about $30,000, no?
Is that how much you use every month?
Yeah.
So $20,000, then it went in January, February went down, and then in March you went up past, what is it,
I don't know the
30,000?
numbers, I can't read
Oh,
it.
about 30,000.
35,000.
Now you're seeing it spike in 2017, see where we're headed, and it's not coming back down. So we have to really be careful with this now, or we'll end up going way over budget on our fuel. We think we got enough budgeted, but boy, the trend right now is going up, up, up. And the work is going on. It's not snowing. You know, we're running trucks, and trucks are running every day just like they do. We're still running 10-hour days, so we're still pumping the fuel out.
And I think your spike right there is both of those. You know, the price has been holding pretty steady, but you've just been able
doing a
to
lot
do
of-
so much more work.
Right. So, but this is a cost. This isn't a consumption. There's another chart for consumption, but this is cost, and we watch that cost real close.
Yeah.
As the gallons or price per gallon starts going up, and we're holding steady on our consumption, we have to watch that budget because it makes a big difference there. So that's one we watch real close. We track that monthly and just keep an eye on that. Water usage was big this year. Commercial water, this would be like from DWCD, Mancus, some locations with MBI. We've put 1,900 loads out there and 5.8 million gallons of water. Private water sources, 529 loads and about 1.6 gallons or million gallons of water. So the total for pretty current on this one, this is actually through last week, 7.4 million gallons, which is 23 acre feet of water. But last month I put 1.5 out just in December, million gallons. So that's around 4 acre feet, just because it's so dry this year.
Yeah.
And we're trying to catch up with these roads, yeah. And so we've got actually private people now saying that's enough. We want you to hold off. No more coming out of the ponds because they're getting worried about going through the winter and into the spring and livestock and different things. They want their ponds to still be healthy.
Yeah.
So we've had to pull off of them now too. So it's just drying up. But that's a lot of water we use this year.
That is.
This is where we were actually out tapping in last week to that line that we talked about out there for the BOR. We're out on Bureau Reclamation there. So just another place to get water next summer, trying to plan for next year. So grants this year, we did County Road CC and Road 10 with DOLA. It was $208,000. The Forest Service worked well with us this year with Chicken Creek and Mancus. So they had $312,000 on the West Mancus chip seal job, and then they put $17,000 in for re-graveling that Chicken Creek Road this year. So had a good year with them. Hope to continue business with those guys.
And nothing on the Dolores Norwood Road though? Nothing?
No, we won't talk about that till after the first of the year. We'll work on our Schedule A's and we'll see what they've got in their maintenance funds that they can work with us on the graveling this year. We'll gravel it one way or the other, but I'm just hoping that they can come up with some maintenance money. And Pete's looking for it. He just hasn't talked to me about it. So, utility permits this year. This would be all utility companies, 148. Probably the predominant one this year was Montezuma Water. They're doing a tremendous amount of work out there, redoing all their lines and everything, putting in taps, fixing taps. CenturyLink is still big. They have a lot of them. But it generated $19,000 in revenue, which goes into our reserves, but we use it for safety. We use that to help with the safety program and the rewards for being safe, no lost time accidents, and the meetings once a month and all that. That's helped pay for all that. So gloves, safety glasses, things like that. So equipment purchases this year, we bought the 3 plows, and then the 3 big expenses was the 3 walking rolls that we use a lot. We also bought that nice little gooseneck trailer we hooked onto one of the older tire trucks out there, and it made a good nice unit to haul the lighter equipment around with instead of have to have the big semis every time. So that's been handy. And then there's a picture of the walking roll if everybody wants to remember what one looks like. But that's man, we use those a lot.
Those are good.
Six?
We have what do we have? 6, yeah. And we'd like to get a couple more next year or so. But man, those work good, and they are just helping us tremendously on these roads. We know that's been when we got the crown built back in the middle. And slowly catching back up with pulling all these shoulders up and getting them all reshaped, and then setting it back down with these, it's working tremendously well. So good investment there.
Did Dolores County ever get one? Do you know?
Yeah, I just talked to Cat the other day, Bill Waters, and that's what they were doing, was up there working with Dolores County on getting theirs delivered. So yeah, they're getting them. So once they figured out how to make these things follow those blades without picking the blades off the ground
yeah, where
and
they-
tracking better,
Mhm.
that's been a tremendous asset to all of us. So, disposal of equipment. There's a lot. A lot of little things, a lot of big things, but as you kind of look down through there, a lot of cleanup in the yards. I don't even know what to even start with. There's nothing real big. We did sell the old loader at auction this year, the tip trailer and all that. But, just cleaning up, just going through each yard and saying, we don't use this anymore, never will use it, it's out of date. It's time to clean it up and present it back to the public in some form or fashion. 90% of it goes out on a public auction, bids on, and then some of it went to the Sukla auction this year, but it was just clean up, get rid of
Yeah,
it,
just
make
get
room for
stuff
other
you
stuff.
don't use, yeah.
Never use it, yeah. So. And then, last but not least, is the
Boy,
safety.
that's good.
And that's something, 454 days without lost time accident.
That's a year and some months. isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So,
That's-
good job to the guys, and my hat's off to them. It does pay if you
You
can
bet.
keep them safe. So,
That pays in a lot of ways.
many more than you know.
Many ways, yeah.
So, that's all.
That was a nice presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We do think that's kind of neat at the end of the year. We were able to
Yeah.
track this so well now that during the year, I told the girls, okay, it's that time of year again, and they within a few days had it all put together
boom,
for me,
boom,
boom,
had
boom,
it.
boom, and away we go. So it's just a good way to show the county that we are putting their money into the roads the way they ask us to. So anyway,
Doing a lot of stuff out there.
that's all I got.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I'll
Merry
see you
Christmas,
guys after the
ladies.
first of the year, huh?
Merry
Yeah.
Christmas. Have a nice
Nice
holiday.
vacation. Don't have to deal with me for, 3 weeks?
You're easy to deal with most days, buddy. You're pretty easy.
Will you, obviously next week is not got that big of a schedule, but for after the first, will you send us a schedule and don't we just forward it to them?
Sure.
I'll just
Yeah.
send you this.
Keep you
I'll just
posted.
forward that
Yeah.
to you. But there's not.
Because our next meeting will be, the first one will be the 8th.
January 8th.
Yeah, well, it's a few weeks since we've seen each other again.
Well, you'll probably be happy about that.
So, anyway, I'm done.
All right.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
all right,
Rob.
guys. See you.
Do you have?
I can show you the certification of mill levies, except the one, if you would like.
Have you
to
heard
see.
anything?
Actually, I need to go. I'll go in there and check. When the federal lands are here, I'll check. And they might, if Chris sent that in, I will try to get it finished.
I wonder if we should throw James in here before.
We can.
James is going to come in and give us.
Okay.
He's got something to talk about, and then he said he'll have to come back because he's not quite with all of his presentation. But
His MOU for tonight for the, one of them is.
CSU.
I think this is for tonight, maybe this isn't for tonight.
The extension and the
It's
fair
between
board?
Montezuma County 4-H shooting sports and archery range.
I don't think
We have to
that's,
discuss that
I don't
tonight.
believe, so. I don't
Okay.
think that's our bailiwick.
All right.
would that be Tanner's?
It is, I mean, one of them
yeah.
is between Keandra Elliott.
She's the representative on the advisory board.
And one of them is David Chanel, but that's not tonight's stuff.
I don't believe so, John.
Okay, James, come on up.
Okay,
Morning, James.
good morning. I'll have a few more things to address the commissioners with, but we'll talk about this right now.
Okay.
We just got a letter from the BLM, and what they're offering is an opportunity for us to become a cooperating agency with regards to their travel management and access plan. So that'll be a plan that's, according to them, is going to go on for several years. We're already aware of it in Montezuma County because they started here, and we've already responded to at least their inventory portion of it. But they are offering us an opportunity to become a cooperating agency.
Does this pertain to all BLM lands in this area, or?
Well, it would pertain to the TRFO lands that are under consideration for this travel management. So what that means is Canham is out of it because they've already done theirs. But all the other BLM land would be a part of this. So again, we've been participating in this, and we'll continue to participate whether we're a cooperating agency or not, because we're still a coordinating agency. This is, it's an opportunity to test the cooperating agency avenue out if we choose to. I've always felt like, regardless of whether we're a cooperating agency or not, that under FLIPMA, the federal government is still required to coordinate with us.
Yeah.
However, I know that there's some, there's some discussion about that. So, I don't know how the commissioners feel about that, but again, it sort of seems like that federal mandate just doesn't seem like, entering into any other agreement nullifies that. However, again, other people have different opinions on that, so.
Well, maybe we'll talk to Connie when she comes in today about how this might benefit us or not.
I've always wanted to try it. I can give you an example. I was talking to Hillary, which is a commissioner from San Miguel County, and we were talking about the ACECs and reduction on some of them. I'm like, well, how did you know that? They haven't told us that. And she says, well, because we are a cooperating agency as well, and so we get more information than you guys do.
Well, that'd be a good question to present to Connie today and say, how will this benefit us?
So anyway, that was one topic. I'm working on the letter, and then I've got the letter that's associated with the Rico West Dolores that I'll bring forward as well. I guess the only other thing I wanted to let the commissioners know is we've been working with the State Historic Fund on the McElmo Flume, and so because we went with Bert, they felt like he needed more engineering work. And so we've got money within the budget to absorb that, but the problem we ran into is we can only change line items within that budget by 10%. So to be able to fit the extra engineering work into it, we've exceeded that 10%. So what I've been working on is negotiating with them on how we can just reorganize that budget and make it all fit. And so I've got that sent out to Bert. We've been working with both engineering firms, our consultant, the wood guy, as well as the guy that helped us with the prior work on the concrete. So they will step in and help with the wood portion on this now too. So, but it has kind of slowed things down. We need the approval.
Who said that they needed more engineering?
The wood people did, like our consultant, Anthony and Associates. So basically, they need the more engineering just to help Bert get through it to meet the historic standards. Make sure that he nails that. Because if he doesn't nail that, we're at risk of not getting our money back. So,
But how do they know that he's not capable of doing it?
Well, they don't. But Bert has been working with them, and I think he shared with them that he feels like he needs some extra help on that. So, again, there's money within the budget, but it pushes us into the contingency on that. That gets a little bit tighter. We feel confident, in Bert, and but we do need to make sure that we get it. We have to have it approved now through SHF, and so we're in the process on that. Has kind of slowed things down, but. I think we've got, as long as I hear back from Bert here really soon, I think we've got it all kind of rejiggered so that all the numbers work. Mm-hmm. The only difficult part at this point is we're already dipping into contingency before we even start the project, which makes me a little nervous. But again, I think, Bert seems to be supremely confident he can handle it. So as long as he's there with us, I guess, I feel good. And,
I just don't want to waste a bunch of money on engineering that,
Absolutely.
that kind of concerns me when
Yeah.
you're saying we've got to have more wood engineering, because I don't think
Yeah.
MVI had any wood engineers out there when they built that dadgum thing.
Absolutely not. Could be perfectly honest, I think that we could probably build a replica of it for
Yeah.
probably a quarter of what
Well, I know.
I-
That's what just,
I totally understand. Now, to reassure the commissioners, though, it is, the money that's being used for it is the state money that
Yeah.
we tapped in. And,
still out.
I get it,
Don't
Keno,
like
I totally
throwing
do.
money.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't like throwing-
and again, in terms of the public, you could build a replica, and I mean,
So what?
would anybody know the difference? I don't know.
There's not going to be any water run through it. We know that much.
Absolutely. Yeah, there will not be any. Yeah. There better not be any.
We've got a little time. Could you describe the letter that we wrote to SHPO and the response that we received?
Yes. Okay. So
Do you need the letter? Or?
well, the letter that I don't think so, later on. The letter that we wrote, and I believe it's the one that we wrote to both SHPO as well as the BLM, and I think we sent one to the Forest Service too. And basically it was saying that on these type of projects that have a federal nexus, that we expect the state agency, SHPO, because they're helping with that process and can't be removed from that process, they're required to coordinate with us too. And we simply ask them to coordinate with us on, all the communications, the opportunity to sit in on meetings and phone calls, things like that. So in response, they sent us a letter back and said that under Section 106, they're not required to coordinate with us in the third category. And I think that third category, if you can, there were three categories.
Part CFR, Part 800,
Yes, and it was under.
protection of historic properties.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it was that. Maybe I could use a letter really quick. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
there
guys.
you go.
They don't specifically name it. I would have thought the category that we fit into was the local agency under which the jurisdiction of this area fell, which would, in my interpretation on that, is within the geographical boundaries of Montezuma County. She kind of alludes under a different role under Section 106, which is applying to, let's see, how do they describe it? The federal block grants, Department of Housing and Urban Authority.
Where does that
Not
come-
even
I was gonna say,
related to
where does
this.
that come in?
But am I right to say that you said that in all your years in this position, you have never had a letter that told the local government to go to hell more than this letter?
That's my feeling.
I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my feeling about this. I mean, even the Forest Service was resistant to it because under the National Forest Act, it's kind of a vague reference back to FLPMA and the coordination process. However, they've even acknowledged that, yes, we have a duty to coordinate because we're a federal agency. The BLM has flat out said, yes, we are required to coordinate. This is the first time I've ever seen any agency say no, just flat out. And she just, I mean, how does she describe it? This authority does not apply to the Bureau of Land Management. Consequently, we look forward to continued consultation with the Bureau of Land Management. That just right there.
That's the only people we're going to talk to.
That's it.
Who
Yep.
was the woman though? I mean, it's got some Steve Turner's
Yeah, it's got
name at the bottom.
some other signature.
Yeah, so Holly Norton is the state archaeologist, and she is under Steve Turner. Yeah. So again, yeah, that
Well,
sounds to me like that was a flat out no.
So, to this, being the vice chair of public lands, I have requested Steve Turner to come to the February meeting in Denver at the public lands. And so that, usually when that request is, because it's all of the counties, and usually the head of the BLM will come if you request, the head of the Forest Service will come in Denver, the regional director. When we first reached out to Mr. Turner, he said no. he said, why? Is this a public meeting? Why do I need to come? Anyway, we pushed back, and Mr. Turner is going to be at our meeting on February, but I've never seen an agency that,
Well, they seem to be pretty independent of everybody. Sounds to me like.
Yeah, it sure does seem like they're in an ivory tower
It's time to-
someplace.
Yeah,
You know, even
maybe it's time to test them.
given the difficulties
maybe
we've
it's time to
had,
test it.
almost any state agency, you would think, whether they're required to coordinate or not, would be putting forth a little more effort to come down and try to smooth things over
And at least-
than what we're
well,
tell
seeing.
us
because we're
what-
supposedly a arm of the state
Branch
government.
of state government, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Personally, I think they have an obligation to us, regardless of coordination.
Yeah.
You don't have the authority to say no.
Well, we might.
But, that's how I feel. However, we might want to talk to
Yeah,
John.
of course. I mean, I don't know who this woman is or why she's trying to give you legal advice. I mean, she starts defining what they want and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a simple thing to tell her back is that she doesn't have authority. She's actually not personally interpreting the law, and she's coordinating this.
Okay.
Whether or not she does.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
We may tell them no in some other fashions. If they like using that word.
Either. I will tell them, just curious about his background. Their website, I'm at it right now, doesn't even, I mean, I don't know why they have any authority other than the fact that, like, they were given authority through the legislature, but, yeah, it doesn't necessarily exempt them from coordinating with those who talk about this.
They won't even come down here and look at us.
I'll be happy to work on a letter to
Okay.
get back to them.
After we meet with our public lands people, we'll
Okay.
make a decision.
Okay, that sounds good. And I'll work on it as hard as I can today. We've got some other stuff in the pipeline, but let me know if this is a priority, and I can, hopefully shove some other stuff out of the pipeline.
We're only gonna be till noon today.
Oh, only
Yeah,
today.
because
Okay.
we don't have anything for
Okay,
the afternoon,
well,
so I just thought I'd let you.
Okay, the pipeline just got smaller.
The pipe shrunk from a 12-inch to a 6.
That's right.
So will you need to have something for them right for lunch?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I can crank through it. I believe.
Okay.
I'll give it my best shot anyway.
All
So
right.
let's leave it at that.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, James.
Okay, and this time we see DerrickPadilla and Connie Clementson of the BLM and the Forest Service respectfully that come up for the public lands monthly.
Did Marietta bail on you today?
The bomb, she's taking annual leave. No,
She's
well
what?
deserved.
She's on leave. Hi, Derrick.
They're done.
Slippery's not in green. I'm like,
I know.
I know,
What is
I
that?
didn't recognize him. He has a green logo, but I like the shirt though.
Yeah, that's nice.
Should we request that he wear his green uniform?
I think you should, for the record.
It's casual Monday.
Casual Monday, right?
Close to the holidays.
It's a holly jolly week. Yeah.
Well, which one of you like to start?
I'll let
Let us
Derrick
know
go
about your
because
project.
we usually go first.
Sure, excuse me. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot this week or this month. I just wanted to pass on that we signed the decisions for the Taylor Stoner project, which was aspen vegetation and spruce fir vegetation treatment projects. The aspen was 920, the spruce fir was 1,700 acres, and we were waiting on either getting, speaking of SHPO, getting all of the clearance complete and or getting the programmatic agreement in place, which allows for phasing of cultural resource inventory for any of our vegetative management projects. And we were able to get that programmatic agreement as a region signed. So here into the future, we'll be able to phase inventories. Prior, they did allow us to do that, and then about 3 years ago, they decided that we couldn't do that anymore, that we either had to have that programmatic agreement in place, or have 100% of the area surveyed prior to implementation. But we've gotten beyond that hurdle now, so now, like I said, into the future we'll be able to phase our inventories and not have to have it all done before signing the decision. And we do have a sale up there in the amount of about 470 acres already prepped and ready to go, that we hope to have on the street here in January, out for bid. So, and that one is a spruce fir sale. So that'll be the first spruce fir sale in quite a few years over here on this side. So that was really all I had. So
Well, it was been brought to our attention about the pine trees up there, and up to 10,000 acres now, or
correct.
can you give us an update over that as far as, I mean, it was, what was it last year, 1,000 or 2,000?
No, we were in the 4,000 to 5,000 range last year, and then now we're in about the 10,000 acre range as far as trees that are infested. What's worrying us is that if you look over the landscape, there's little pockets all over. That basically that's what we started seeing over, where it originated there in the Lake Canyon area. Just started seeing a few isolated pockets, and then it expanded into that 10,000 acres now over the course of about 5 years. Again, that's concerning us, that we're starting to see those little pockets throughout the landscape, and the potential, based on what we're seeing that has happened, is there for the rest of the landscape. It's our intent, we will be initiating it's about a 14,000 acre analysis starting here in the next couple of months, that's going to expand further east from the Lake Canyon area. So it'll be up in that Trimble Point area in there to, like I say, do some more work there, and or be able to, take what's dead after, if they do get infected also. But we do have some infestation over there already. And then just continue east for 2019. We'll have another area that'll probably, where we finish there at that boundary, there about Trimble, we'll start over in the Boggy Draw area and go further east towards Chicken Creek and that area. And that one will probably be a larger analysis to about 25,000 acres. But that wouldn't be till 2019, like I said. Montrose Forest Products is still interested in, retooling their Montrose facility so that they can utilize pine. So they were on a field trip here last Friday. They went out, Norm Bircher went out with Dave Casey, our forester, and Travis Brook, our forest supervisor's office forester, because they're concerned, if they're going to make that much of an investment in retooling their Montrose, whether or not they're going to have anything left here, if this infestation spreads, because they're not in the business of collecting the salvage material. They need green material. But I think, we show them what we have and what we have in the plans, so that, brought them a little more comfort, that we are, doing analysis on areas with green trees, that they would be able to get to sooner than later. So that's what's going on there.
Do you have anything in your plan? You're talking about doing these multi-thousand acre assessments and stuff. Is that in that assessment? Are you seeing how you can stop or get this beetle to keep from its rapid progression into live forest?
That is part of it. There's really not a whole lot you can do to just stop it. What we'll be doing is trying to do some resiliency cuts, if you will, which is basically, taking out trees.
Thinning.
What we've found is that in stands that are not as heavily stocked, that those trees are faring, much better in being able to.
So there's been too much growth in the forest there. The populations are too dense of the trees, and that makes them susceptible?
Well, that's a part of it, and then just these beetles are endemic to the area. So when all the stars align for what their needs are, that's when they take advantage. So right now, from 2008 till about 2014, or 15, we had some pretty significant deficits in precipitation. So that was definitely one of the factors in allowing the beetles to do what they're doing right now. Then there's the stocking situation where, because of those limited resources as far as water and nutrients and things like that, the trees aren't as healthy as they would be if you had, a few less out there per acre in certain areas. And then there are some things they just don't know. We had the state entomologist come down and give a presentation to Dwarf that I would recommend you guys get him over here to give that same presentation, because it was pretty enlightening. And like I said, there's a lot of things they just don't know yet, because we just haven't seen this kind of spread on this scale as quickly as it's happened. So like I said, they're just not sure on a lot of things.
There was an article written by KSJD that says Montezuma County Commissioners decide not to support the GOCO lottery office. And so what this article does not say, the reason I'm saying this is Tom tried to call me earlier, but we were in the meeting. And that is that it was presented to us in the way that the reauthorization, that there could be changed on the way that money is allocated. And the commissioners believe that it's a very good argument that maybe what we were against is the Division of Wildlife purchasing more land when we only have 27% of private property in Montezuma County, and using those monies to fund the mussel inspection. We think that would be a much wiser decision than purchasing more land that they can't take care of what they already have. And so we would just like to clarify that this article doesn't mention the reason that we were critical of it, but we were hoping that the monies could be changed around and make sense on what they're purchasing instead of doing what they do year after year and expecting the same results.
Yeah, that article acted like we were totally against the GOCO grants and monies, which they did. They made that very clear, but we were in opposition of how they allocated those funds, and like Commissioner Sukla said, we wanted to see the Fish and Wildlife allocate, instead of property acquisition, land acquisitions, to take that. The ANS is a much more immediate threat to us and our whole county and our entire water systems than purchasing more acreage for them to mismanage. And
So
was
that based on comments from Tom, or I guess I'm not?
No.
it's from-
Tom read this, and he had concerns, and his concerns are justifiable because
the way the
he
article
wanted to let
was
us know
spun.
that you received a GOCO grant for $100,000 for the overlook trail, which we're very well of that.
Yeah.
And we don't want to see those fundings diminish. It's the purchase of land
Oh, okay.
versus the
Sure.
the money for the inspectors.
Okay.
They just didn't. They put their spin. They put their spin on our comments and spun it the way they wanted it to be spun. So,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
Ready? Okay.
fire.
By the way, I wanted to congratulate Commissioner Sukla for being recognized by his peers. Congratulations. That's quite an honor. Always an honor to be recognized by your peers. So we were excited to read about that in the paper. So just wanted to give you a couple updates. The BLM is submitting the monitoring and discovery plan from our state office to SHPO this week on the Phil's World project. We were hoping to do it last week. And in the eyes of the BLM, this is our final plan that we're submitting. If SHPO does not like it, it will then be elevated to ACHP, which is the national organization, and then they would make the final read on whether or not the BLM is doing their due diligence as far as the Phil's World project.
How about if SHPO doesn't accept your next proposition, that we just open up Phil's World anyway and see what they plan to do about that?
Well, I don't have a comment on that, Keenan, but we do
What?
have a process that we have to follow.
We've been
And so,
you've processed
I know,
You've
I know.
processed everything.
Yep.
You've done your work, you've come to your conclusions, and now this outside entity saying, no, you have to do it our way.
Well, they do represent, the governor's office and, the position of this state, and are charged with implementing those laws for cultural
Even the ones
resource
that have been
management.
taken off the books?
The ones that are still on the books, absolutely, and they are the agency that we work with, and we're hoping to come to conclusion on this. So what will happen is after we submit this letter with our final plan through our state director's signature, we will have a 10-day waiting period to see if they concur or they don't concur, and we'll go from there. So
If
anyway.
there is no response, is that counted as a concur?
that's the way we look at it. I would suspect they'll send us some sort of letter either way.
They sent us a nice letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard you guys talking
Yeah.
about it earlier. So
We're
with
an
that,
unrecognized entity by them.
so I just want to give you an update on that. And as a consulting agency on this project, we'll send you a copy of the letter that we both send up and receive back from them. I've been trying to keep everybody in the loop on that.
And we can, as well, James, we can send that letter that we received to Connie.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
commissioner's fine with that,
Okay, thank you. I know this isn't in your county, but just a heads up, C&J Gravel, we're doing an open house over in Durango this evening, 4 to 6:30 at the Durango Public Library. They do provide services and gravel over in this county occasionally, so we did just give a courtesy invite to the county for that. One other really important decision that rolled out that the county commissioners did comment on during the process was the King Coal lease modification.
We saw that. We got
The
that
Assistant
lovely
Secretary
email.
for Lands and Minerals did sign that. That is the highest level of signatory that comes out, so there will not be either a protest or an appeal period. The way that process would work is that you would go right into legal action if you did not agree with that decision. There's no administrative process
There's
to
no more comment
exhaust.
periods or anything on that. It goes, when he
Yeah.
signed it,
It goes into
It
effect
goes into
after,
effect.
yeah. So the important part to that is then the BLM will then send in the paperwork to the Office of Surface Mining and OSM, whatever they stand for. They're the ones who issue the mine plan to the company. So there's a little bit of a delay before that coal can start being taken out, because they're the ones who would then issue the mine plan. So just kind of an update on that. I know the commissioners had commented on that during the process.
yeah, we're glad to see that. We're glad to see, and there were a couple others mentioned in that same,
Yeah, there's one in the North Fork Valley.
right, there were
Yeah.
several of them.
I believe a
Genesee.
stay was filed on that particular action, and so the courts will have to decide whether or not that action can move forward. There has not been any stays filed against our decision at this time. So, and the stay would basically say, we don't agree with this decision, we don't want you to implement it, until the courts hear our side
Who
of
could
it.
do that, Connie?
Whatever group filed, I think in this case it was some environmental groups in the North Fork Valley that filed that. Not the case here down in our part of the world. So we did receive a copy of your request to be consulting party for all actions on the BLM, so we will be including you in basically all of our correspondence up to SHPO as we consult with them. So you'll get courtesy copies for that on projects. So James will probably be the main recipient, I'm assuming, rather than going directly to the commissioners. Is your preference?
Yeah, he's
That'd be fine.
very good at passing that on. to
Okay,
us.
very good. Let's see. And the last item, I had mentioned to you last time that we were going to do an open house for our travel inventory to let people know what we learned during the last 9 months. We thought we were going to pull that off in December, but we're not going to be able to do that. So we're planning an early January kind of roll out. We'll have an open house here. We'll have one in Durango. And really the purpose is really just to share the information that we learned over the last 9 months as we put that inventory out online and gathered comments back in. So we haven't developed a proposed action yet, And that leads me to my final item. We sent you a letter this morning asking if you would like to be officially
cooperating.
recognized as cooperating and coordinating with us. So we're hoping that you will enter into an agreement
Cooperating
to do
/
that.
coordinating?
Did you read it, Keenan?
Just
Here.
got it this morning.
I brought it just because I wanted to
Okay,
read
good.
it to you. Not the whole letter. Let's see, where was it at?
Yeah, right in the second paragraph.
Well, yeah.
Cooperation, coordination with governmental partners.
What benefits will being signing on as a cooperating agency, what benefits will that bring to
It
us?
officially recognizes you in the process and allows us to do more early on coordination and cooperation. It gets you into the weekly calls and all those things that, typically we would have to invite you every time. And this is just kind of that standing invitation and that formal recognition to other agencies that you have a more formal role in this particular process. So it just kind of codifies it, that
What are the downsides to it?
there are no downsides, Keenan, other than you have to sign more paperwork.
The BLM doesn't get rid of their coordinating word. They leave that in there.
Right.
They say cooperation and coordination.
We knew that would be important.
Yeah, when she threw that in there, that's the dog biscuit she threw in that one there, yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry.
So with that, we hope that you do sign on under MOU. We are cooperating agencies always. It's just a lot cleaner method to go through for this, and travel management is important enough. I would think you'd want a more formal, recognized role there. But I don't see a downside, Keenan.
You don't?
No.
That MOU, you just briefly mentioned sign on to the MOU.
That's what this asks you to do.
Yeah, and that's that MOU you presented us before.
I think, no, that was an MOU to have you be cooperating in the connecting with communities recreation process, and it was kind of about travel management, but it was a little broader to talk about things like, when we do Paz to Mesa Verde, and we talk about the recreation strategy in Montezuma County. That was really more the emphasis there. And the purpose of that was also to help us in our recreation budget, because as we get those memorandums in place, we get little widgets for those to say, Trace Reels has, 29 agreements in place. Therefore, I couldn't give you an exact budgetary amount that helps us, but it puts us in a better position. So that was the purpose of that MOU. This is very specific, this MOU, to the travel management that we'll be rolling out. So that's all I had, other than to wish you guys a great holiday season and to get us some snow.
So let's have a discussion about that. We don't like to put things off.
Okay.
So what do you commissioners think about this? Yes.
Put it off, I'd like to study it.
It takes two. What do you
Yeah.
think, Commissioner?
I think if there is no downside, which I trust Connie's speaking.
You can always get out of it.
You can always get out of it. If it will benefit us and get us in apparently more on the front end conversations and front end planning and front end everything than being a coordinating agency will get us, which apparently they wouldn't be asking us to be a cooperator if it sounds like that's an enhancement to being a coordinating agency.
I think it
Or,
formalizes it, Keenan. It just really gives
it's
you a lot
form-
more recognition of the role that
Well,
you
we
play.
should be we're formally recognized in FLTMA.
Right,
I mean,
right. But this
so-
is just a little project within the greater umbrella of FLTMA, and it just,
So
I
this
think
just
it wraps.
deals strictly with travel management.
Right. And an MOU always gives you a clause in there that says if you don't agree to it, you give us 30 days notice and you notify us, and then you can get out of that MOU. So it always gives the county an out if you're not liking the way the process goes.
How do you feel about it?
I think it's fine. I mean, we keep using the word coordination and cooperation.
What do you think, Commissioner?
If it'll help us any, I'm game.
For me, we've been doing this, for a long time, and it goes back to that saying, if you do the same thing every day and expect a different result, you're wasting your time. And so,
They call that insanity, I think, yeah.
And so if this might help that, The other aspect I look at it is we get to learn the interworkings of the BLM. And that might be to an advantage down the road. Or not, but,
Or might make us a little more crazy.
well, I just think that if there's a way out, and I hate doing the same thing over and over again if you're not going anywhere.
This is only from the travel management plan.
That's
It's
right.
very narrow.
Well, that's your opinion. Anyway. What do you guys think? Let's vote on it.
I say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We'll
So
get
we'll
you
expect to hear
a
from
draft MOU for James to have you review, and
We'll
go
go for
from
the
there.
boards and then to keep everybody happy, coordination, cooperation like we do in the letter.
Right. It's pretty standard, but we can tweak it a little bit. But yeah, we look forward to working with you. And
We want in on the deal.
well, just for the record, gentlemen, we did say that we would love to see a proposed action from the county. So we feel like you absolutely have an important role in travel management. So I believe things have changed with the BLM and the Forest Service as well. Derrick and I have been here, and we've really tried to be more communicative, more transparent, and more collaborative. So I hope that you feel that you've seen that progress as well, because I think Derrick and I have worked very hard in our tenure
I would
here.
say that. The only thing that I would say that is completion of projects.
Getting
You and me
stuff done.
both, Larry Don.
I know, but that is, we can talk and talk and
Yeah.
talk. But
Yeah.
really what it comes down to is when something is completed, when the talking is done and an action is taken,
Yes,
I would say the Overlook Trail would be an example.
absolutely.
And so that's where we would like for the talking to go to eventually it goes to action.
I totally agree with that, Larry Don. So
Because I think that coal lease over in Hesperus was what? That's been on the deal for 6 or 7 years?
yeah, it's taken. I found
Yeah.
out about it about 3 years ago, and
What
then we
changed?
started.
What
I found out about it, and we got it moving. So we got the right people on the project, and we moved it ahead. So the Phil's world has all kind of thrown us a little bit of a monkey wrench, and we're going to get through that, and we're going to get a decision out, and we'll move forward. So sometimes some projects take longer than others, and you have to make sure that you do follow the procedures to ensure that when you do issue that decision, you're on solid ground. And sometimes it just takes longer than
We're
we
on a
all
lot of solid ground out
hope
there.
for.
I mean, that ground is solid
It's
out
solid,
there. It's
Keenan.
solid.
You bet. And we want it to be a little bit muddy and wet right now, don't we? So,
I can
thank
just
you.
say about this memorandum on the travel management that
Yes.
at WIR, when I was in Oregon this past spring, we had, he's the head of WIR, which is the Western Interstate Region, and he also is a commissioner from Wyoming, which wherever his county is happens to be one of the biggest coal producing counties in Wyoming.
Oh, okay.
And when this was brought up about these, he says, why in the world would you not use everything at your disposal to take your agenda and move it forward?
There you go. So we look forward to
We're
working
gonna
with you
see.
even closer.
We're gonna see.
Oh, don't worry about it, Keenan.
I
So-
don't worry a whole lot.
Oh, okay, very good. Thank you, commissioners. Are we done?
All right, Merry
Thank
Christmas.
You.
Yeah,
You have
Merry
a wonderful Christmas, and
Yeah.
let's all hope for a white
Do
Christmas.
some snow dancing, would you?
I tell you.
Do some snow dancing.
Thank you so much,
I
guys.
might say something too. I mean,
Yeah.
we had talked about the schedules for them for
Oh, yes, we did.
January and February, because the third
Yes.
week is, it's a holiday,
holiday.
both
Oh,
in
yeah.
January and February.
Yep.
So what we decided to do is split the difference and do one in February.
Correct. And I sent that to Derrick as well, a courtesy
So
copy of
do
that.
you
We're
want it
good with
on the earlier or later? Does it make any difference? Did
Whatever
we
you
decide?
recommended.
No, it doesn't.
I can't remember,
I
but
actually, I thought you said we'd move it to January 22nd and then skip February.
Okay,
Yes,
well, we can do that.
that's
Okay.
fine. Thank you. It's been the weekend, you know.
Right,
I know. Okay.
Once I put it on my calendar, it's like whoosh, away
I
it
just wanted to
goes.
make sure we all were on the same page with that.
Yes, that's fine.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
And I see that Shak. Oh, wait. Shak, come on up. You here to talk some trash?
Yes.
Morning, Shak.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing well yourself? Good morning.
You gonna tell us about your $125 an hour waiver fee?
We don't get the waiver. Small people getting 20 tons or less a day get the waiver.
They're the only ones that get the waivers, them reading those documents and billing?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, we don't qualify for that waiver.
There's always a catch in there. There's always a catch. Well, just start reporting 18 tons a day, would you?
Sure. How much do you have set aside for my bail?
I got a few bucks.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind.
Find your.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah, I saw your scale. Portable scale?
Well, it's not a scale, it's a loading ring.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it said portable scale on part of that.
Yeah,
What do you need? What do you need that loading ramp for, Shak?
Well, during normal winters, you know where our loading ramp is by the shop there, between the two buildings.
Yeah.
Well, the lawn and everything from the upper building is sloped down towards that, and then the building's there. So normally at this time of year, it's a mud hole. And so I would like to purchase this other ramp so that we can load on the pavement during the mud and ice, so we don't have to pull trucks out with the dozer and stuff like that.
Which would you want to do first?
Well, since you brought it up, we might as well.
Oh, I shouldn't have jumped in front. I just.
Oh, that's okay. I'm flexible. We can go in whatever order. So what it is it's a portable yard ramp, so we wouldn't have to load in the mud hole. And also, initially, we had the lean-to that was built onto the west side of the shop there, where we were storing our commodities, both paper and cardboard. Now, having to separate everything, we've got newsprint and we've got office paper in that. So that takes up both rows. So we've moved our cardboard into door 3 of the shop, so we've got 2 different areas to load from. So this would be handy for that. It's one that I could find it's made in the United States instead of Canada, and 2, it's a fairly reasonable price.
Yeah.
So plus it would get us in normal years out of the mud. It hasn't been much of an issue this year. And in fact, if there was still water in the canal, we'd be doing dust control. So,
Why do you think that it needs to be portable?
so that we can move it up to the concrete pad during inclement weathers. We can't move our current loading dock.
But if you had another permanent loading dock on the concrete, would you still need a portable?
Well, then it'd be in the way, because the trucks turn around and untarp there.
Just your space isn't adequate to put in another one on that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But it'd sure be a whole lot better on snow and ice. And if you could flip to the budget, I'll tell you where our financials.
Apply myself. Come on.
Open.
Come on. I know.
That's a big
Trying to be
spreadsheet, man.
nice.
Wasn't that an old Black Friday commercial where they were waiting? Now they're just open Thursday nights. But if you'll just scroll all the way to the bottom, then we'll discuss the rest of the budget here in a minute.
Go to the very bottom.
Very, very bottom.
There you go.
So, for the year right now, a little further to the bottom. Oh, I guess that is the
That
bottom.
is the bottom.
So the year right now, we're sitting $142,000 in the black, what we've taken in compared to what we've spent. So I thought if we're going to do this, this would be the year to do it. And then I would also like to propose that we take $100,000 out of there and make an early payment on our tractor and scraper. towards the
Get
general
all.
fund.
So, I'm trying to recall about when you came in here in January. It seemed like
The dozer had
red.
gone down. Yeah, everything was in the red in January. We had an
Everything was in
unexpected.
red a good part of the year until Kinder bought all those soils in.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
they
that
kinda bailed us out.
118,000 or whatever kind of jump started, and that, nice bonus.
Yes.
It's put a turnaround.
Yeah, oh yeah, and that,
Yeah. I wish they'd have cleanup projects every year.
Every year.
I don't think they're going to.
do you think there are many more of those in their future, Shak? Or do you have any idea?
You know, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I could stir the pot here a little bit and say I don't think Higginlooper is going to let a whole lot of exploration happen around here, which is kind of when they were doing their big boom. But I could stir the pot and say they might move over to Bears Ears and do some stuff. So. But I'm not going to stir the pot.
I mean, they were a huge help, but even without them, you'd have been in the black.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, even without them, we'd have dug our way out. But now that we've got the little bit of extra, I'd like to pay ahead on the tractor and spray
Put it down on the principle of those,
Yeah.
of those loans you have.
Yeah, get this ramp and put it down on that other stuff.
So that we
That's
can
what I
move
would
forward
like to
to
do.
getting a shredder.
A shredder,
At some
yeah.
point, yes.
I'm telling you, that's going to be in your future one of these days.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. Kinder Morgan willing. Just kidding.
Which, I'm going to change the subject a little bit on the shredder, but we've got another school coming to ask for support on something here in a little bit. But one of the things that they were asking about is when they actually get chips for their playgrounds, they have to get them out of Montrose. That's the closest place that they can get them. So I didn't know
rubber chips?
when wood chips.
Oh, wood chips. Oh, I got that.
Specifications on the wood chips. So when we actually look at a shredder, we might look at the chips and see if there's something we can do to help supply
Playground.
schools with.
Well, that can be done not necessarily with the shredder. The shredder will shred the wood, but then what you need is a screen to screen out everything above a certain dimension.
And so maybe let that. I was just off the cuff, but I just know that they have to go all the way to Montrose to get those. But if there's something we could provide here,
Yeah, if we had the right size screen, we could do that with no problem.
Okay.
We've got piles of chips that we could screen down to the right size right now if we
Had a screen.
had a screen.
Did they, can't they use something else besides chips?
I don't. That's just kind of in a conversation, and we can ask Donita when she comes later. But I
Does
mean,
it hurt the children if some of the chips are a 1/4 inch bigger?
I don't know. I think the person we need to talk to is possibly their maintenance person. But
Right.
there's a certain standard for school children for whatever reason. So
Right.
Well, they use sand in the park. Are those kids different than the ones at school?
evidently,
They're dirtier now.
Some of them
It's-
like the beach experience rather than
I think it's and whoever the regulation is.
whoever decides what their
Yeah.
material is going to be.
So I mean, I think they tried the rubber stuff at one time, but I don't. I'm just going back to a little bit of history, but I know that they get chips, and they said the closest place is Montrose. So
There's all kinds of bark over there in Mancus.
Yeah, and the Excelsior plant doesn't have another source of income right now, so it might be handy to sell some of that to the school.
I meant to ask Derrick if how much the slip me how much Western Excelsior is using in their production now over there. If they're,
Are they producing anything?
I think they're making Excelsior. Yeah, they're making Excelsior. That, and I think they're going to stay. Their scope's going to be a lot narrower with this operation than what they had before. They're just going to do strictly Excelsior.
Which is going to deteriorate our aspen forest further because there's going to be less logging.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So-
So I guess that's first off is talking about this yard ramp, a
Do you
portable
think
yard
that
ramp.
bringing up the shredder, you feel like this is a higher priority than the shredder?
I think this is a lot less costly than the shredder. Yeah.
But we understand the difference in price, but what's the priority?
Well, I'd love to get a shredder if we had the money for it. Because I've got it built into the budget next year to rent one. but
Or rent a ramp.
no, rent a shredder.
Oh,
I can rent a ramp every time I need one.
Is this something you use a lot, Shak? I mean, is
Oh,
this
sure.
something that-
We're loading out right now 3 cardboard trucks a week and 1 to 2 paper trucks a week, or not a week, a month.
A month?
On both of those. So we're using it every week.
Mhm.
And our concern growing is if we were to have a bunch of snow, it's such a pain in the neck when those big trucks get stuck down there pulling them out.
yeah, I remember how muddy that was down there.
Right. So
My only thing is, and I know this is just coming from a rancher, but I watched Norman Butler, not Norman Butler,
Dopey.
Norman Utley sell at our auction the exact same thing that you want. He took a semi-bed 48-foot flat and then turned it into one of those.
Mhm.
Probably a fraction of the cost of that, but it wouldn't look near as good.
well, looks aren't such a concern, but this one's actually available. I don't have a semi bed to turn into anything.
Is this a used one? I mean, that
No,
price?
no, it's new.
Wow.
It's new.
That's a pretty reasonable price.
Well, you would know best on your operation.
Yes, sir.
I trust you.
All right.
Aye, aye.
We're good.
You have to make a motion to purchase something over $5,000.
Okay. I would move that our landfill manager we approve the purchase to J&H Industries Incorporated for a portable ramp and the price amount of $10,564.
That's freight.
Plus freight, yeah.
Plus rate, yeah.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve the purchase for the landfill of a portable ramp for the loading of our various commodities down there in the amount of $10,564 plus $4,100. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh, I barely made it.
You only got 3 votes on that, bud. You need to work a little
Do you have
harder.
your laser?
I can't find it. It's not in this stuff.
That's okay. I highlighted things certain colors, so if you want to scroll back
To the
up,
top.
Yeah.
Started.
talk about budget, and I wanted to update because I don't know, you might be hearing some complaining about recycled prices because we're having to, with the markets dropped for some of the mixed commodities, we're having to charge people. The clean commodities, we're still paying people, but I did want to show how we're trying to maintain revenue neutrality with our recycling. So I've highlighted some cells in blue, if you want to keep going a little bit. That's income that we have from our scrap metal sales, our cardboard sales, our O&P is paper sales, and our plastics sales. And I have these totaled on another page, but that is the revenue that we've had coming in from that. And then if you scroll down a little bit further,
What is the green? The green, is that your budget?
that's the year-to-date what we've brought in
Oh,
total.
that's you, okay. What's yellow?
That's the month of November.
Okay. What's this one?
That's what I projected for the month of November.
This is projection for November, actual for November, and year-to-date.
Correct.
And this is your budget for the whole year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So then, of course, we have to start charging for mixed paper in November. But what we've paid out year to date is for the recycling commodities is $63,000, almost $64,000. And if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see what our electric bill has been to run the baler on that. It has been almost $18,000. So now if you'll skip to the other deal that I had.
The other.
It was a Word document, revenue.
A revenue neutral recycling.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Here it shows your labor for sorting, labor for baling, fuel for loaders.
That's it. So the commodity sales, we sold 100,000 onto the market. We paid out 63,000 for the material, almost 18,000 for the electricity. Then the labor to sort the materials, the different types of plastics and the office paper and newsprint. And then the labor for an operator on the tip floor and an operator on the baler, and then the fuel for the 2 loaders, both during fueling and loading. And we've come up with a difference of $51.35 for the year. So I'd say that's about
That's
as
about
close to
neutral.
revenue neutral as
That's
you're gonna
pretty
get.
dadgum neutral, yeah.
So I just wanted to
How'd you do
keep
that?
us in the loop. Well, what we've done is we've just told the recyclers, we're gonna pay you for your commodities, the fair market value minus our cost to process it. So as the markets change, we've just adjusted the prices with. And so we haven't made anything, we haven't lost anything. And so, but I have a feeling with the markets going down that you might hear some squabbling of how come the landfill's charging for this now or that now. Well, because we have to sort it now to get it to market. But we're still cutting everyone a pretty fair deal. We're not making a penny off it. Actually, we made 5,135 pennies off it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Who's
So-
counting?
That's where we're at there. I guess the other thing, I don't know that we need a motion or a vote for it, but just the go ahead to do what I said and take that 100,000 and pay it towards the tractor and scraper, since we borrowed it from the general fund,
From the capital fund.
from the capital fund,
Yeah, didn't borrow from the general fund.
from whatever fund I borrowed it from.
I would
So-
move the approval of Shak paying back on his 2 equipment loans, $100,000 to the
Capital
backside
fund.
of the loan to the capital fund.
Second.
Motion and a second for the manager of the Montezuma County landfill to pay back $100,000 to the capital fund for the tractor and the scraper. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I barely made that one too.
And then will you just bring in a voucher for that?
Yeah, do you want to invoice me for it, or do you just want me to make the voucher?
I'll get you something on it.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. Other than that, we're up for the month, we're up for the year, so I would like it to just always stay that way, so if you could work that out, that would be great.
And stay dry.
I don't want to stay this much. We need a little less
Just
dry.
the landfill
Just
stay
the
dry.
landfill
Just the
would be fine.
landfill stay dry, yeah.
But I'm a little concerned we might have a heck of a fire season
Well,
next
that's
year.
what,
Maybe even in January.
like right now.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah,
crazy.
I've never seen anything like it, so.
And the lack of water going out of this country, I'll tell you what. The ponds, I've never seen them going down,
Down
they're
there.
going down.
Oh man, it's crazy. I'm a little concerned about my fishing habit this summer. The fish might be packing canteens. We're really gonna be in trouble.
You'd be bumming a drink off them, wouldn't you?
Maybe.
All right, well, thank you and have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry
Yeah,
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Shak. Thanks, you're doing a
And
great job.
congratulations on your award.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, so we've got,
We I can show you the certification if you would like.
Okay.
have you had any update by Chris?
I haven't. I called the office and they said he's working on it, so I probably won't have it until, I'll probably have to catch up with you later because this is due to the state Wednesday. And Leslie needs it in order to do her tax
Taxes.
certification, so I'll find you.
Is there a way that they'll get it done by this evening?
Yes, that's quite possible. Quite possible I can bring it to this evening. So, there's not a whole
Bless you.
lot on this. I wish I could get this. Ugh. My computer's just doing weird stuff today. So, in summary, which isn't correct because we're missing one number, it's got the school assessed values, and I cannot read this whole thing. Go with this. See, now I can read it, but now we gotta figure out.
What it means.
So this is the assessed valuation of each one of these. So this is the schools, and that is the total assessed valuation for the county. We'll have the same thing, because see, that's the same number as the counties.
Yep.
Cities and towns, that's a valuation of just the municipalities. And
So the value is that 105 billion?
million, 105 million. Then all of these, this is a complicated number, but it's each jurisdiction inside their own boundaries. That's 4 billion, but it's not 4 billion altogether, but you might get assessed your fire district, your cemetery district, the TV district, the DWCD, so a lot of these are duplicated because of the layers of all those jurisdictions. So, but that's why, and this is the page that Commissioner Sukla will sign, but I can't print it till I have the final number because it makes a little bit of difference there. So let me,
And did you give all the districts ample time to
well, here's how that works. It's a crazy, teeny tiny time frame. Leslie has to get them the information by December 10th. They have to have a board meeting between the 10th and the 15th in order to accept their mill levies. And that they give it to me by the 15th, and I have to compile it and give it to the state by the 20th. Now, a lot of those districts, a 5-day window in order to have a meeting, and some of those people, that's not the time frame that they normally have their meeting. So some of them have given me preliminary numbers that I'm sure won't change, but I actually do not have signed documents on there, but that's the whole thing. A 5-day window for
It's pretty narrow.
30
pretty
different
narrow.
entities to hold a board meeting of some kind is pretty slim. And see, even for us, I mean, we had the 11th and we set our mill levies on the 11th, but if it worked out, it could be different to where our own, if we're
Would fall
outside of
in
that,
it,
if between the 10th and the 15th didn't hit a Monday, I mean, so it's very complicated, but it's,
So is there any way for them to prepare their levies and these things prior to the 10th of December? Can
no,
they-
because the mill levies change.
Yeah.
Each one, even ours changed from what we thought it was going to be
Yeah.
until on that date. So it's very, very time sensitive. And if you put the wrong value on there,
You're stuck with
then
it.
it doesn't work. Actually, you know what I want to do? So, I'm going to take this down just a bit. So then, each one of these categories, it generates dollars in taxes with their mill levies. So when it's all said and done, the school districts at this point will collect $13 million from the local taxpayers. The county will collect $8 million, $8,216,000. That's between social services, road and bridge, and general fund. The cities collect $284,000, which I actually look at their budgets and know what their budgets are. Their property taxes is a tiny, tiny
No, they
portion
don't
of
go
their.
there, yeah.
And this number is the one that's not right. Other local improvement districts, $8,202,000 for a total value of taxes to the taxpayers of $30 million. So, and each one of these, so then we have the schools. Each one of the schools, it has their assessment, their regular assessment, mill levy overrides, bonding, abatements. Each entity could have up to 5 or 6 different things that they tax, if they have a bond obligation. So, the county is the
Sales
simplest. We just get our mills.
Our mills, that's it. No sales tax, no nothing.
The cities, town of Mancos has a little bit of abatement there. And these are the interesting ones. Oops. Ooh. Excel doesn't like me very well. See, like this one, Cortez Fire Protection. They have regular mills, then they have abatements, and then they also have another, which is their mill levy override. So And all these have to match, because then this information in these final mills right here, Leslie puts into the computer, sends that information to Sherry. Sherry pushes the button and it says, okay, you live in this taxing district, you're gonna get this, and then the tax bills go out. So that's why there's such short time frame. Has to be certified to the assessors so that the tax bills can go out. I don't know what the date of that is, but come January, Christmas is over and you get your tax bill. So.
Christmas is over.
So if you guys don't mind, if you would do a motion to have that signed tonight at the meeting when that final, when the final one is and this is how I did it this year, is as I had them completed, I highlighted so that I know I was done, and there's our last one that wasn't completed, so.
Is that the mosquito in the corner?
Montezuma mosquito control.
What's right beneath that still in your white?
Right here, Montezuma Dolores Metro.
Okay.
That's the TV district.
Gotcha.
So,
You need a motion.
a motion for commission, for him, the certification of mill levies.
Okay, I'll move that the certification of mill levies be approved for the year.
Budget year 2018.
2018.
Do we need to put to be signed tonight on that motion?
That would be fine.
To be signed tonight.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the certification of levies and revenues for the budget year 2018 to be signed this evening at the county commissioners later meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Lynn, I'll make sure and get you a copy also. I give copies to everybody, so. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is that everything that,
That's all that I have. Josiah's here.
let's go ahead and have Josiah and Lauren come up and we'll do the social services monthly report.
Good morning. Good. How are you, Josiah?
How you doing?
Good morning, Lauren. How are you?
How are you?
Good.
Hey. Make sure I hand these out in the right order.
We got 2 or 3 things to run over this morning, but we can start with last month's financials. Food stamps was down about $200,000, but we made up spending that in other areas, so we still spent our $1 million for the month. But overall, looking into our December budget, we are 9% ahead on total budget, so we're doing really well. And we're not overspent anywhere that isn't covered by 100% funding. So we had a good fiscal year.
Yeah.
Well, this is through November, so in
Well,
January we'll have it.
I have another month, I suppose, to wipe out 9% of my
We're not
budget.
gonna let him. We're not gonna let him do it.
Don't get crazy now. Don't get crazy.
And the projections for next year has, and I haven't even looked at this, Lori, so, the Medicaid trans, because that's such a bigger, do you have a bigger budget plan for that for next year?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Med transit and all categories are the 2 areas that we significantly underguessed, that we increased a lot going into next year. So, but then there's 2 other line items of funding that the state's trying to change the rules on us after budgets are submitted that I want to talk to you guys about this morning, because we are going to need some commissioner support in order for that not to
happen,
not to take place. So,
okay.
You guys have any questions over the financials?
How come you think that the 200,000 less for food stamps? Is there any kind of a trend or?
No, I have no
reason.
explanation for that.
I know they've been.
Other than we float anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 cases. Because where we live in the Four Corners, a lot of people will come, apply, move on. It takes us time to catch up to those cases and pull them back out. All of the border counties deal with that.
Transient stuff.
Yeah, so most of that flex, I'm guessing, is the vacationing transient folks are now no longer around, to be honest with you. And it just takes us time to catch up to their cases and pull them back out.
So in December, that's likely to be down again, if they're gone?
I would guess so, but again, they're wanting to change the rules for SNAP, which is something I want to talk to you guys about whenever we get past some of the preliminary stuff.
Does that have to do with like what they're doing in North Carolina and Wisconsin, and you have to drug test?
No, what they're wanting to do is make more people eligible, essentially.
I like the drug test part.
Yeah.
I do too, and I don't think our current governor would even entertain the conversation, but.
Are you commissioners entertain a motion?
You can't use a EBT card at the edible shop, can you?
No, not right now. No. It's not considered food, so no, you're not
just
supposed to
check.
anyway.
Just checking.
No, not yet.
Should we take the minutes first?
Sure, yeah, wherever you would like to start.
Move that the minutes for the regular proceedings for the social services for the month of November. Right? Be approved.
Second.
Did you say November?
Mhm.
There's a motion second to approve the minutes for the month of November for the the Montezuma County Board of Social Services. All those in favor?
Can I ask a question? Are you sure it's November? Should it be
Because
October?
it's saying
It's
October.
November 20. Oh, sorry. Yes, October minutes.
October
In
minutes.
November.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Amend it to
October.
October.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, sorry. We went way past where my mind could go. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. How about the,
And I would move that the financials for the Montezuma County Department of Social Services for November 2017 be approved.
Second.
motion is second to approve the financials for the Montezuma County Department of Social Services for the payments for the month of November.
October.
No,
November.
No, November.
This was November.
Yeah, we wrote them down wrong, but yeah,
No,
November.
and they're right, because we actually approved the October and November, and the very
Yeah.
top of the minutes is November.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it is the right date.
That's okay,
Okay.
this is fun, actually. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We know we're at the end of the year.
We
that.
know we're getting there, yeah. So a couple things that I want to bring to your attention. So one of the things that came about when we were at CCI was a letter sent from Reggie Bika to the Human Services Directors Association saying that he was going to be changing out-of-home placement rates off of 2080 to 3070 without any consultation from the counties, without consultation from CDHS. So this is a really, really big deal. Out-of-home placement is by far the easiest way to spend money in child welfare and to become overspent. So that was the first priority in child welfare when I came. When I first got here, we were spending about $85,000 a month in foster care and out-of-home placement. We're down to, well, last month we spent $43,000. So I've been able to almost cut that number in half. But if you're going to tack on another 10%, our costs are going to start climbing again. And right now our county has that number way under control. Some counties don't. It would immediately put them into an overspent category on their child welfare. And again, I don't like him doing this without consultation.
Yeah, he just came to you and said this is the way it's going to be.
He sent an official letter, and so what I think is going on is because the governor is not rerunning, Reggie Bika and his top-level staff kind of know they're on a 13-month countdown, and so they're just starting to throw things at us without really bringing stuff to the table. And when it affects us financially, I feel like we're going to need some commissioner support and standing up and saying, "Wait, you got to talk to us about these sorts of level rule changes when it comes to, 10% increases in our costs on our out-of-home placement kids."
Is that effective a certain date, or is that just up for discussion right now, or?
He planned on that happening January 1st, but I don't think he has the authority to do that. So I'm bringing it to your attention because this, as well as the SNAP food stamps, is going to be the two things you hear about going into legislation. And I just don't like the approach. Obviously I don't like the outcome because it's costing us more money at the local level. But just the approach and the audacity that I'm in my last year, so here's
Here, I'm gonna lay this on.
here's a bill, so to speak, without, and you can consult with Commissioner Kirkemeyer. She's all over it.
So it probably Rose
So-
Puglisi, won't she?
I would guess so. Yeah. So.
Do you know what bill number that is, or?
You know, it's not. It's not that far along yet. Basically, it was just a letter of intent saying I'm going to do this, and then I'll catch up with the pieces at a later date. Also, as a way to get his state allocation numbers, I'm sure the governor was telling him to get his budget down, just as all of us are having to make adjustments, and so that's one of the things that he threw out there that he planned on doing. So, I wanted to bring that to your attention that that's out on the table. It would not automatically overspend us in child welfare, but it would be a major hit.
Yeah,
It'd be a big hit.
boost.
It'd be a big hit to us. The bigger concern I have, there are a handful of states across the nation that went from 133% eligibility for SNAP or food stamps to a 200% eligibility. On average, in those states, food stamp cases increased 7%. The state of Colorado wants to push this in March. That's as quick as they can get a bill written. But they're telling us that because the economy in Colorado is so amazing, it's only going to affect us about 4%, not 7%. Which I don't know how you can say that. If it's average across the nation that increases cases 7%, then I don't know why we would be any different or any less. But this is a really big deal, and you got to kind of follow me on this for a little bit. So we average anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 cases. So a 7% increase would basically be 2/3 of a full-time position increase. All right. Now, if that happens in March, that's after our yearly budget has been submitted, and we don't get any additional allocation funding from the state to cover that 2/3 position. It just puts that percentage of a workload on us. CHP Plus, which is the Medicaid for working moms and children, is also going away in February. That's going to affect roughly between 500 and 600 people in our county. They are going to be required to come in, reapply for Medicaid, not be accepted, and then they'll get a credit to take towards their buying insurance. So if this happens in March, I'm looking at a potential of a 7% increase on SNAP, plus another 500 cases coming in March on CHP Plus. When you put that together, that's the equivalency of 2 full-time positions of workload put on us. Now, where that matters is, these C-stats are kind of like my report card I get every month, but I get incentive funding for hitting some of those categories, in particular in eligibility. So not only are they looking at putting 2 more full-time positions of work on me, it will make it literally impossible for me to hit my C-stat measures. And we get anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 in incentive funding for meeting those numbers. That $30,000 to $50,000 keeps us from being overspent on our admin line. And so it's going to hit us twice. One, it's going to hit us with just total work capacity, but then it's going to take away my potential to hit my incentive numbers. And so essentially I'm getting hit twice. Yeah, so this is going to be a bill written. They said they think they can present it in March. I will strongly encourage you guys to vote no on it. And it's not that I don't want people eligible for SNAP, but they can't let me turn in my budget in December and then say in March, we're going to increase your workload by such and such a percentage. And then take money away from the county on top of it as a secondary result. So that's the other thing I just want to bring your attention to.
Would that have to do with this resolution then?
No, that's separate.
Okay.
No, that's completely separate. These are just things that in the first quarter of next year could be major changes for us financially. And usually I ignore most of this stuff because it doesn't affect us, but these 2 particular bills really could fall on our plates and cost us money.
You'll advise us of the bills when they're...
As they're written, I will bring them to your attention. Yeah, I sure will. But I just kind of wanted to even make you aware now that they're already telling us they're going to.
But I wonder what kind of a chance they would have in passing.
I don't know. I can tell you that most of the Southwest directors, human services directors, have big hearts, and they're like, this would be a horrible logistical thing, and we feel like it's good for humanity. Where I tend to just stay on the logistical piece of it. I can't do it. So let's not. Let's not, in the name of humanity, put ourselves under financially. That's just not how my brain works. It's not that I'm not trying to be compassionate. I'm a numbers guy, and I don't want to put us under. So I don't know. We don't get more support from the human services directors than I thought, even though it's going to hurt their bottom lines. So, but I want to bring those two things to your attention. That's something to really pay attention to as we go into the first quarter of next year. The CCAP and child welfare MOUs are set for the first week of March to be voted on. I think I've updated you guys on how I would like our positions to be. Just another thing in March to keep your eye on, because they'll be having that official vote finally March 6th. And so that's the new news in human services that I wanted to bring your attention to. The last thing that we need to do today is make an amendment to our 2018 budget. 19 budget?
17.
17, 18.
And this has to do with things
17.
that,
Sorry, 17.
and I think,
Oh, this is our adjustments for the end of the year.
I think I might have, did I print one of these, Lynn?
I've got two of them.
Yeah, there's two.
I've got 15 and 16.
Are they the same?
Well, I've only got one of those.
Oh, okay, I know what this is. I know what this is.
Okay, I don't need correction.
You're
Yes,
you're
you do.
fully aware of this, Melissa?
Yes. And I think the reason that, I think it's just the same, it's just got the resolution number on it, so that it's got.
Sorry,
Right.
I
Because you
misunderstood.
didn't
I
know
thought we
what
were-
the number
Right.
was.
That's my bad. I thought we were talking about next year's budget. This
No.
is just our adjustments for the end of the year. And we're flopping equal sets of money so that our budget to the state balances.
So they have increases here, and decreases. And like you say right there, in the end, the fund balance ends up being zero. We will have this also, but I don't have the numbers yet because we don't have the December information. So ours will be happening in
The
January.
fund balance isn't zeroed out. It's not costing the fund
It's-
balance anything, for the record. It's not.
It's just no change to the
Just
fund
it's no
balance.
change to the fund balance, yeah.
Is that kind of adding here, adding in these
Yeah,
programs and
taking off
subtracting
it,
in
yeah.
different ones?
You're just reallocating.
We've done this all 3 years that I've been here.
I would move the resolution number 16-2017 for the Montezuma County Department of Social Services Fund, resolution to change the budget.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve resolution number 16-2017. A motion to change the 2017 budget for the Montezuma County Board of Social Services. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I think there's only a spot on there for Commissioner Sukla.
Is it this still? This
No,
thing?
it's this one.
Oh, but you need to sign.
Yeah, you need to sign this one because that hers didn't have the number on it.
Mhm.
And then we'll make sure and get you a copy of that.
Okay.
Miss Lynn will,
A copy of the signed one?
a copy of the signed one to Lori.
Next door, the painters are hard at it. The 2 downstairs rooms where all the cubicles are going will be ready to be installed as of the end of day today. So I strongly encourage Preston and his guys to come over and start installing those cubicles tomorrow. So I really hope over the next 2 working weeks, we'll lose time during Christmas week, but over the next 2 working weeks to make major progress next door. So hopefully it won't be too long until we can get you guys over there and show you what we've been up to.
Yeah.
So.
It's coming along.
Yeah, it is. Yes. Yeah.
The painter's doing a good job.
So far, the one room I've seen them finish looked good. Yes.
Can you just sign that one and then she can have a copy of it?
Do you guys have any other questions for me?
I do have a question. I have not been getting those monthly C-stats.
So the
Have they
C's,
been- they're
they've been
adjusting
sent out once in the last 4 months because, like everyone else in the state, that person quit. They're all running for the hills, trying to find new work, and so I can't even tell you who's
I was just
in
curious.
charge.
So,
No, I'm not getting them either. It's not like I'm getting them and you're not, because
Yeah.
they send them to all of us when they're sent out.
Right, they come that windshield deal.
but I'm hoping that that's not going to affect your incentive
Oh, because we're not
funding and things like that because they're not
We,
sending
we
them
can
out.
monitor all those lines internally, just, it puts it, CSTAT puts it on a nice map, but we can monitor all of
I
those.
was just
You know
kinda
where they're at
curious.
without that CSTAT before.
With not seeing those, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't
Yeah, we meet,
detrimental.
yeah, Child Welfare meets once a week, every Wednesday we go over their numbers and how things are going, and eligibility is every other Thursday we meet and we go over their numbers, and so we try to stay on top of that as much as
How do they do that as an incentive? Do they give that to you quarterly, or, I mean, how does that?
So that comes through Medicaid, our HIC of the Healthcare Policy and Finance. Medicaid has all of the money, I mean, compared to everyone else, they have all of the money at the state. And they deem what's important to them, and they send that down the line, and there's those lines, there's training incentives, there's 4 or 5, and then we get those quarterly, right, as we make them. Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah,
I mean, when you said that, I just hadn't seen those for a while, so.
They come in quarterly, and technically that money can be, it's general fund money. We can spend on anything we want, but we use it to help cover our administration costs. So specifically, so we don't get overspent on that line. So, but again, that could all change with the new governor. Comes a new human services director who may do away with CSTAT. I don't know. That was Reggie's thing. He brought that to Colorado, and the next guy could kick him out or have completely different things that they want to monitor. Or it'll be a new playbook next December. So,
I had a question on. You were saying that they came down allowing certain states 200% eligibility. Does that mean that's going to increase the number of people or service people that are eligible?
Yeah. So if you can see this, to make the simplest of illustration, in Montezuma County, a single mom earning up to $16, and I think it's like 30 some cents an hour, would qualify for food stamps. So when they tell me it's only going to affect me 4%, well, every teacher makes $16 an hour in this county. I mean,
yeah,
all of my staff makes $16. I mean, that to me, $16 an hour affects more than 50% of our county. And again, if there's a second income, those numbers all get adjusted. But for the single mom making up to whatever that is, 16, 30 something an hour.
Well, didn't somebody come and do a survey of our county last year or so, stating that we were only serving 50% of the people that should be eligible for food stamps?
Yes, correct. And this would just make that number even bigger.
I was going to say, this is just going to make it even.
It would. Yeah, so you have SNAP, and SNAP's a federal program, right? But then you have Hunger Free Colorado, you have Double Up Food Stamps, you have these add-on nonprofits really trying to push that specific program.
Yeah.
And that's where that data came from.
Wow.
You're not allowed to advertise or do any kind of PR with federal funding, which is why we don't advertise for those programs. But that's where these nonprofits then come in, and they become the push behind those. Yeah.
I can just imagine doubling our food stamp.
Well,
and $1 million a month.
And again, I don't want you to hear me. I'm not a non-humanitarian. I know what the numbers that I'm provided with. I can't do it.
Well, and that information that was given, I mean, the data that they selected to look at might not be as accurate as, I mean, it's not like that these guys are taking half of their applications and shredding them before they actually get there, you know, I mean.
People just haven't come in and applied for it.
They miraculously
that's correct.
They're living on their own. I mean, they're making their own way, yeah.
Correct. So Hunger Free's bottom premise is that all eligible people should be on. And so therefore, in our county, really half the eligible people were actually coming in for services. They thought I was doing the community a disservice by not being more aggressive in
promoting
the program, essentially, which again goes against what I'm trying to accomplish. I want people to be self-sufficient. I want people to be able to not need our services, and if people truly need our services, they'll find us. I have no doubt in that. So anyway, that's
Did you get that envelope?
my soapbox for the morning. But
yeah, go right ahead.
Did they bring that envelope down from whatever they dropped off?
no, but I'll go get it right now. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
I just remember.
Just one
Do
other
you guys have any other?
thing.
Yeah.
You mentioned these nonprofits. They're the ones that advertise for it. So could you give an example of a nonprofit in Montezuma County
that does that? Yeah, so there's a program called Double Up Food Stamps. And so basically, if you're a SNAP recipient, you can go to a local farmer's market and get 2 for 1 buying fresh produce. So there's a booth at the farmer's market. Next time you go, it's a Double Up Food Stamp tent. And they'll educate you on it. They'll take your EBT card. Then they'll do the whole thing for you right there. And Double Up Food Stamps has a regional rep who comes to all of the different farmers markets in the area and sets up that booth and does that sort of thing. And I have no idea where their funding comes from, but they're local. You'll see them out here in the parking lot. Hunger Free came through twice this year. with all kinds of posters and flyers, handing them out to anyone that would hang them up, trying to get the word out that not enough people are
Taking foods.
aware of their ability to be on that program. So, and again, I don't know where their funding comes from either. They don't get any funding from the state or the counties, so I don't know where their funding comes from. But they are present in our community. So, yeah.
All right.
Anything else, guys?
Anything else?
Got one question, just a curiosity thing.
Yeah.
Here, about a month ago, I guess, got something explaining that there are counties in Colorado who had institutions where they housed what would normally be foster kids. What counties are involved in that?
How to-
Group homes? Is that
Like group homes or placement facilities.
Yeah.
So the two closest to us would be Grand Junction. They have 2 or 3. There was a place called Mine Springs, and then there's Pueblo, there's Colorado Springs, there's Denver. All of the larger towns have them. Over in Alamosa, one started last year, but they couldn't get all their paperwork done, and so that was going to be our closest facility. And so it's something that we try really, really hard not to ever place kids.
What about Delta? Where's Brown? Isn't Brown Center or something in Delta?
Yeah, so there's these different levels of tiers, and so your lowest level of tier would be a home where kids come and live, but it's not locked. They attend the local school, they come back and forth, and so the kids that you can place there have to be pretty well behaved. Because you're putting a lot of trust that kid's going to walk to school and come back to the facility, and we don't have very many of those kids. And so after that, then you go to a locked facility. It's more of a traditional hospital and on up the chain. There certainly isn't. La Plata County had one for a number of years, and I asked Leslie about it before she retired, and she said that and it was actually run through their county, and they couldn't stain the black, which is why they eventually moved on from it.
I just wasn't aware that there was such a thing until I saw that. I'm trying to figure out where in the world.
Yeah, the state of Colorado owns 6 or 7 of them, and then there's individual, and they become individual businesses after that. But the amount of red tape, the rules, they're very highly regulated. I've looked at them because I thought if I could recycle my money locally, that we should have such a thing here, and it would be a real undertaking. And La Plata County shut theirs down because they couldn't stain the black, and so I don't want to get ahead of myself and be so arrogant as to say, well, I know I would automatically succeed where they failed.
How big are those homes? I mean, how many kids could be in one of those? Obviously, the bigger, the more cost effective, but I mean, are those like 20 kids, 50 kids?
Your lower level homes are anywhere from 6 to 12. But then once you get into, your Mine Springs and those bigger facilities, we have 50 to 200. They're
And do
large
they
facilities.
have education in that facility, or
Right,
do
they'll have a local school on site. Because it's a locked facility, the kids can't leave, so then you have to provide an internal school system, and it gets...
That's when it
there's
gets
a
really
lot.
complicated.
Well, yeah, because you've got to know your Medicaid and behavioral health rules, you've got to know your school district type rules. It's just... all your cooking and food's on site, so you've got to be in touch with it's almost having like an internal restaurant. It gets really... There's a reason why there's not a lot of them. They're tough to run. And I'd love to have one here, but again, that would be my full-time job. So. But I think ideally, that would be the way to do it, because we could recycle our... we spent $60,000 just in child welfare travel last year going to see our kids that are placed.
And then you have to send personnel up to check in on...
Absolutely. And when I send one of my staff to see a kid in Denver, I lose a day of driving. They see the kid, they drive. That's 3 days where they saw one child.
How many?
And it's brutal for just your work production trying to get them. And so if we place a kid, we have to see him once a month at a minimum. Right? Ideally, you want to see them more than once a month, but at a minimum, I lose my staff for 3 days going in.
Wow.
How many kids do you have placed? Can you tell us that, or?
Sure. We have 28 subsidy adoptions. We have 17,
I'm thinking 16, 17.
16 removals, of which 4, 5, 6, 7 are currently placed in out-of-home placement. At an average of $5,000 a month.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. That's when Reggie says we're going to go from 20 to 30%. It's a big deal when you're talking $5,000, per month per kid. And thankfully our numbers are very low and manageable. There are counties that would absolutely put them under immediately.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll keep Reggie on our list.
Yep.
All right, Merry Christmas, thank you.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right.
3 of us are band parents.
Yes, we are.
That was fun.
That was fun. I'll see you guys later.
Would you have a band parent get together?
No, they had a concert in
Oh.
6th grade, first time they've ever done it.
Oh, yeah?
It was quite an experience.
Actually, the resolution 15 last week, I had a bad date on the back. I had it dated for the 18th instead of the 11th, so
Oh, God.
Oh, I
I
thought
put
I
this
had her
in.
change it.
Huh?
She just, okay,
Maybe
so
she-
we retyped it?
I retyped it. I don't know if she changed it on the,
We didn't tell anybody, we just fixed the date.
okay.
On
I
it,
just
but
didn't.
I thought that Kim did that, but it's okay, do a clean one, that's better.
It
So
just
we
needs
just need
to
to
be,
sign it?
it just needs to be signed, but I believe there was another one that was blank, and this one I caught that I had the wrong date on it, so.
This would be better.
So you want me to have her sign that?
If she wants to. I mean, it's just, I don't know if she changed the date on this one or not. I think when it
You
came
can
back.
have
it
that.
was-
You keep
I
that.
thought you,
So,
And then that way.
Where'd it come from?
it just had the wrong date.
barricade.
Right, you know,
Barricade.
Yeah.
see where she
Up there at
wants to go.
CCI.
Oh, I see.
So she would have signed that last week.
Yes.
Technically.
Yeah, and I think when it came back to me, I think it still said the 18th, so. It was the clerical.
All right, I guess we can go through the, are you ready for the lawyer's report?
Yes, I don't really have much. I am curious about these MOUs that I brought up a minute ago. I don't know when they're going to be presented to the commissioners to sign. These are MOUs between 4-H and the commissioners in the fairgrounds on archery at the fairgrounds. Do you know anything about them?
I think it's an annual thing that they do in January every year. But I think our biggest part is getting that first MOU between the extension and
And the
4-H.
fair board.
Yeah. Okay, well, I've already looked at those. I was going to bring these up just because I wanted to make some edits to it, but I'll wait till the right time.
Okay. And if those, if Andrea puts those on the agenda, I'll have her get with you
Okay.
for edits on those.
Okay. Not much else. We did get a stipulation. I asked Leslie this morning if she had heard back from Kinder Morgan on our 2011 assessment, because we sent them a stipulation to sign saying that they weren't going to challenge it in the future, and they did. She emailed me this morning saying she did get it back. So
They signed it? Cool.
That's good.
So we won't have to do audits
for just
at this point,
Well,
for this point further, with
no,
that.
well, for 2011, they're not going to challenge the audit that was
Oh,
done.
okay.
They're just paying it, and it's going to be.
Oh,
should be a
that's
done
good.
deal.
Have to do the audit.
Right. We already did it on that
It's
one.
already done.
Yeah.
And do you know, what's the status of the letter to MBI? Has that been sent?
We sent, well, I gave it to Rob. My guess is it has been sent. I should have asked him this morning. I don't remember when I gave it to him. I guess Wednesday of last week. But it's been finalized.
On the way.
Signed. I think it's already been, I'm sure it's been sent,
Okay.
sent by me, but.
What was it about? This
Uh,
was part of your executive session.
You know, it was, but we actually, I think we, I'm kind of blurring what we talked about in public. Rob, I think, talked about everything in public about MPI that I was planning
Yeah,
on
I think
talking
we
about
did
in
too.
executive session.
Yeah, we did.
But essentially, MVI had indicated to us that they weren't going to help us with replacement culverts and things to that effect. And so it might have been during executive session where I told Rob I would write him a letter. And I might have done this in public, I'm not real sure. But we wrote him a letter that suggested that they did need to help us with it. And just give them an estimate of what it was going to cost.
Is this out at the fairgrounds?
No.
Just
This is-
anywhere
this
in
on
the
all-
MBI system.
It had a particular road, though. I want to say Road W.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
where they
that's
were.
the
Yeah,
one.
but it was their general suggestion that they weren't going to help anymore. And this one was in particular to Road W, where we gave them an estimate.
What was the other MOU you had there? The
Well,
archery?
they're both. One of them is between Montezuma County 4-H shooting sports on the archery range, and the other one is Montezuma County 4-H stakeholders FFA regarding the provision of storage space in county-owned premises.
Okay.
And I would just comment on that. As Rob was going through his presentation today, he showed the $19,000 in fees that came back to the county through permitting. So all private companies have to get a permit from Montezuma County except for MBI. And so that doesn't seem hardly fair that why would a private company be getting, not have to pay when all the other ones, why are the taxpayers, Montezuma County, if Montezuma County is absorbing the cost, why is that fair to all the taxpayers for a private company? I believe that we, on our agenda,
Yep. That's
we have
Jones.
Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Stewart that are, but there's three of you, so we got three chairs. If you want to come up, and
I have a
Who's
hard time
behind door
calling.
number 3?
This is our PE teacher, Mrs. Merlino, as well.
Good morning.
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
I skipped you.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, Donita Jones.
Donita, nice to meet you.
Thank you. Is up for you. Hi, Sarah Merlino.
Nice to meet you.
Teacher, nice to meet you too. Sarah Merlino. Sir, PE teacher. Hi, Donita. Nice to meet you.
James, Donita, Sarah. Nice to meet you.
What?
Sarah, Mrs. Jones, G. Hardman.
Oh, okay.
She recently got married. So.
I got you.
Remembering her name.
I got you. Keep the right handle on
I think
it.
she probably still answers to the old name.
I do. Too many years. Yeah.
so what do we have more on?
So I contacted Melissa early last week and told her that we had been looking at applying for a GOCO grant for our playground for over a year. One of the requirements is that you have to partner, excuse me, with an entity, a city entity or another governmental entity to be your fiscal partner and to just give you some credibility or oversight. They want to make sure you're not just going after the sum of money on your own and just lend some greater accountability. So we know that the city is applying for this grant on their own. So looking at them to be a partner with us wasn't really going to be a feasible request. So
The park district. Yeah.
for the park, for Parks and Rec. And so we thought that we would come and talk to you guys about being that person for us. So my assistant principal and Sarah, my PE teacher, have been the ones doing the pre-write on this and the lead. So I will defer to them on some of the technical questions, but what they copied and handed to you was the part of the application that we need to submit, the first part.
So I don't see a number on it. Is there any numbers on it?
a number.
What's your grant
Budgeting.
application, how much your?
It's $110,000.
So it's 100, yes.
It's the third paragraph on the first page of the resolution.
okay.
So it's a $110,000 grant. Up to $10,000 needs to be, well, technically 10%, I think, needs to be from our commitment to it. So from our funds. And that can be both in-kind donations and also cash, but we have to have, I believe, do you know what percentage the cash has to be?
It has to be 10,000. It's 10,000.
Yeah.
See,
So-
I still don't see those numbers.
Oh, sorry, right here. Do you have the resolution page? Maybe I
The other
skipped you.
page.
Oh, it's that one right there.
Oh,
So the other
I
one is the,
apologize.
that's okay,
Yeah,
that's
I
okay.
apologize.
So we have raised over the period of the last 4 years of fundraising with our students and families, over $12,000. We've just been stashing
the
it
budget specifics
for
for
this fund. So, and some of the kids are going off to middle school and they say, are we ever going to see some of the fruits of our labor?
Right.
When there are just a lot of things that have to change when we start making changes to our playground structure. It's really dated. The equipment is has been grandfathered, but now if something breaks or gets compromised, you can't just weld it. You have to remove it. And so everything's getting depleted. I brought for you guys a copy of our playground map. We use this for talking with staff about coverage and kids and play areas. Sorry. But we also have,
on the last page of the draft agreement, it's on the very back, there's also a picture of our satellite image of our actual playground as well.
we currently have pea gravel, which was an approved substance to have under your structures at one time. Currently, that is no longer appropriate, nor is the rubber pieces. It has to be a bark. And right now, it has to come all the way from.
We talked about that this morning. 'Cause-
Did you?
Yeah, about having.
Well, the playgrounds here have sand in them.
Yeah.
Right.
But pea gravel and sand is different.
Sure.
Right.
They won't let us use the sand either, at least for future installments.
It's a bark, which our closest spot right now that's approved through our insurance coverage is out of Montrose. So to just tear out everything we had before we put anything in, we have to remove all the pea gravel and replace it into an appropriate base with the bark. We would hope maybe we could manufacture that at the landfill if that would be appropriate for our insurance. But that alone would have eaten up our $10,000.
Right.
Just like that. So we knew we needed help to make any progress. On this map that I gave you, we have improved some areas. We have a garden area now. We have raised beds, put out quite a bit of produce this year. We've put in an orchard now. We have 2 rows of orchard trees. They are indigenous to the Manaugh area. Apparently that was an apple orchard at one time. And so the garden team came in and did that for us. We're looking really to do, we do a lot of running and walking. Our kids have put in over 2,000 miles already this year in laps outside. And it's really a cool thing. So we would like to make this purple dotted area, really turn it into a lap or walking area. Also, the 4-5 structure called Section 4 is our most dated, and that's for our older kids. There's not enough to do there, and it's very aged. And when there's not enough to do, we have idle hands, and that's where we get some of our difficulties. So we really just need to bring this up into to pieces that the kids would like to have. And so we've already queried them. They've already been part of this process in choosing some of the equipment they would like to see. And so they are part of the planning. We also have 2 gates in the at the playground that are covered by the chain link, which kind of denied access to our community at some period of time. It's very hard for our community to come onto the playground off hours and use it, and we want to open up those accesses again so that they can utilize the playground as it's intended. So really want to partner with our community too.
One major point of our grant, as well as the just being outdated equipment and kind of unsafe, just a lack of creative play options for our kids, but also in our community as well, in our neighboring area. There's a local apartment complex that has a slide structure and like a basketball court, and there was a soccer field. I don't know if that's still going to continue to be since the
old admin building got sold. But those are really the only two areas, and they're mainly geared towards older kids, like high school age kids even, for like the basketball courts, soccer fields. And otherwise there is really no park in our neighborhood at all, except for like if they were to actually go to the city parks that are offered on the northern end of town. So it just would be an opportunity for us to offer something back to our community in an area that really needs it.
So when you say gates, for weekend access and things like that,
Yep, totally.
are you just thinking a gate with a pole or something like that so that people can get in at any time
so
that they
right
can't
now,
be locked?
absolutely.
Swing
Right now
gate.
it's padlocked, but we want to just have it be totally open and available 24/7. Obviously, would have like a regular park. It's not open after dusk, but still technically accessible if needed.
This would have a swing garden gate, and that's what had been there before, that they removed and just fenced over that opening. So that alone would be a very minimal expense. Currently, people come and lift, crawl through the metal bars by the back steps of our gym, and I've even seen them trying to lift baby carriages over those before to get in, and which is really unsafe. And I hurry out and open the big gates for them to get access. And so, again, just really limited for the amount of people we have living behind our
close to
school, all the subsidized housing in our trailer parks, and all the way to the east in the older residential part of town. There's really no park in that area.
And a huge part coming from our staff is we've done a lot of shifting of our whole culture in our building. We have like pride values, one of them being diversity, and just allowing to build off of our community, our neighborhood, our neighboring community. And our staff really felt that we need to allow access to our playground so that we are really more welcoming. Being totally gated off made it feel like this is ours, you can't have it, and we don't trust you. We really want to move away from that and make sure that everyone feels welcome to be a part of our community, and that they really are the school. We aren't the school, it's them, so we want to give back to them.
Especially since it's their taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is the school district helping you in any way with this? Or the school
Totally
district?
supportive as far as especially maintenance. When there's items that we try to see if they can repair or replace, or they come and help us keep the area safe. They've moved curbs to be in compliance with insurance, and so they would partner with us to the degree possible within what they have for equipment, both from the maintenance, but also any asks that we may have of them. They're always keeping an eye out for what shifts in insurance happen, and if we have cheaper solutions and things like that.
So monetarily, they're not contributing to this project.
No, and nor have we really asked just on this item yet.
Okay.
And so with this, the grant part, then the matching is all funded through you guys, and
Yes.
what we are is just more of the fiscal agent and just an overseer that we're doing a community project.
Right, that this is just, it's not just school-based, and it is open to the community, like those ladies have said. They're ready for this. We have that new orchard, we have the school garden. Let's bring it back to the century it should be in, you know what I mean? It's very unsafe out there and very outdated. They're ready for it and they deserve it, that's for sure. Our community deserves something.
And if you look at on the resolution page, section 4, it does list the agreement. So our superintendent has agreed to put a line item in for the annual budget for repairs or any ongoing upkeep of the playground. That technically already exists, but most of the upkeep that we need to do is just extreme, so it can't really be funded with the line item that exists currently. But she's committed to making sure that she has prepared, or that the line item exists continuing.
So it's the Dolores Playground's been in the news a lot.
Yes.
I was just wondering.
Yes.
Have they did this same thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They've already done
They
that?
submitted the same grant
Yes.
last year and got approved for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very familiar with this playground because it's the first place I ever got beat up.
Oh, no!
And it was a girl.
Oh, even worse. we can write an itemized section in there too for that.
Put the Sukla beat down.
Oh, right, yeah. Rematch. Invite her to the grand opening.
Her name is swing after you.
Yes.
Her name is swing after you. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't involved in the
Nope.
supporting.
I would move that the Board of Montezuma County Commissioners enter into a governmental agreement with the, I guess, the Montezuma Cortez RE1 School District, not just Manaugh?
Yeah.
Or, okay. With the Montezuma Cortez RE1 School District and support in every way we can the Manaugh Elementary and City Council initiative for the Manaugh Elementary Playground Improvement Project.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the resolution putting into an agreement between Montezuma County and the RE1 School District and Manaugh Elementary on applying for a grant for the Manaugh Elementary Playground Improvement Project. All those in favor?
Can I ask a question? John, do we need to number this resolution? I mean, the way that which is no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, we probably should. You're talking about this Manaugh Elementary and the one that says Cortez City Council on the top? Or,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this one, right here?
yeah, so, I mean, if we're gonna relabel it, then, maybe we do relabel it with our
Resolution number.
That would be resolution number 17-2017.
I had a pen in my ear.
I have an electronic pen that doesn't write on here. Thank you. Can you say that again for me?
Did I say 17-2017?
So
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve.
Resolution.
Yeah, you were ready to
Yeah,
vote. I just
So
asked
we have a
that
friendly
question.
amendment just adding that the agreements come between Manaugh Elementary and the Montezuma County. And the resolution has the number 17/2017. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And what I can do is, if you can email that to me, I'll get it signed.
Yes, we'll make sure that that's done.
Does this need to be signed?
We can get it done today, for sure.
Does that have to be signed by one of us? Or?
Yeah, right here it'll be at the bottom, and I'll bring you the corrected copy tonight
Oh,
for
okay.
signature.
Sign it tonight. Will
Yes.
we Get the resolution number on it.
Yes.
One of the things on our webpage, on the homepage, is a list of supports or sponsors, and so we'll put them, you commissioners, on our list on the
Yay,
homepage.
thank you.
So, and on our Facebook page too, so.
So there's
you
a-
guys' support for us.
There's a company in Olathe that they buy the bark from Western Excelsior, and they take it up there and they make mulch. And so there would be the possibility that if they're already coming down here empty to get the bark to take back, that they could haul the.
Can I borrow your pen again?
What's in
Because,
my purse?
because I think that's the exact company that we were talking to with, because Summit Recreation Outdoor Equipment is the one that's going to provide and come in and actually put in the structures. And I believe that is exactly where they're getting the mulch from, is somewhere in Olathe. So, Western Excelsior?
Well, they purchased it from it, but the
Okay.
company up there is called Mott, M-O-T-T.
Okay.
I think they call them Mott Brothers.
Okay. But theoretically,
They may haul down here empty,
They haul,
so if they
right.
come down empty, maybe they would
give
Bring a
us,
load.
haul your
If you
playground
guys in
covering
for
down.
us, that'd be awesome.
okay.
Or even if
Even
they
if
did
it-
charge something, I know these guys pretty good.
Might-
Okay.
It would be a cheaper price.
Yeah.
The freight because
Nice.
Because they're already
That's
here.
great. And we can
because they're
contact
loaded.
Because they're already
in
loading
both
up.
directions. So.
Okay.
That'd be great. In my middle of the night meetings I have with myself when I wake up, I was thinking, this could be even better because county has equipment and the county has resources we don't have.
We don't have a permit to operate in the city of Cortez.
So,
Got us out of that one, brother.
do we need this one signed to the intergovernmental?
Yep, the IGA.
So that's just a draft. Once
Okay.
if we do get funded, I'm gonna say once we get funded for the grant, then we would
Then
actually
bring
have a
this ad
formal-
later.
And,
Okay.
yep, and we would have to
Okay.
have another meeting to get that.
Now you gotta have a place to put the sign because they require to have that GOCO.
Yes, they do, yes.
Gotta
When I go up to
advertise
Grand
for it.
Junction quite a bit, I've seen those parks that they've
Those are fun.
sponsored as
Yep.
well too, and we'll make sure that that's up there as well too. It would be nice to have them just like in Grand Junction at those entry points when we open up those gates to remind everyone where this is exactly coming from.
Yeah.
So.
I've been on that, rode my bike on that trail that goes along the river, and they got
Right.
them satellite parks that are.
Mm-hmm. Those are really nice too. Those are beautiful. I like those as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for fitting us into
Good
the
luck.
schedule so quickly too.
Yes,
We
I know.
appreciate that.
She called and I said, well, let's get you on 11:30.
Yes. And I said, oh my gosh, let's go.
Melissa is still always pulling for anything that has to do with the schools or the school district.
We're
Yes.
counting
so-
on that.
No, that is,
She
that's
knows how
wonderful.
hard we struggle to
You gotta-
get
yeah,
everything
she
we
knows.
have.
She knows the difficulty.
And I have a secret. The other day I had a jacket that had some red in it, and I had this red shirt that I wore underneath it, and it had the Manaugh. I showed it to Billy and Phaedra. I said, "Do you guys recognize this?"
That was the green burgundy one, wasn't it?
It was red.
Oh,
and
it was
had
red,
the tiger on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
So-
Thank you.
No,
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Nice
to
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you
too.
very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to be hard at work over Christmas break.
Good.
Thank you.
Hopefully you're
Kids are
successful.
lucky.
Yeah. Got a good bunch working for you.
All right, we have a discussion about Pleasant View Fire Department.
Well, she's here right on time. Boom, boom.
So we're having scanner problems, so I apologize. So are we. Yeah, we've been scammering for this, so, oh, sorry, Commissioner. I did one with, just a basic overview that Melissa can put up there. I think I actually have that one. And this one's the one that has my chicken scratches on it, so I'm hoping that you guys can see through what I'm saying here in regards to fees. They have about a little over 10,000 square feet with this fire department. So I broke it down on column 1 with total fees, you know, everything included. On the left-hand side, I apologize, the copier cut off the first parts of the numbers, but you can see under the road impact fees on the far right-hand side, the amounts that would be assessed for road impact fees on top of that. So if it was warehouse, it would be the $3688.62. Mini warehousing, all fees included, would be $6,868.16. Hospital, and I only included hospital just because it's emergency services. I was just trying to figure out a way to assess their road impact fees. That would be $31,440.32. Light industrial, $4,755.42. If we just assessed because they did do the single lot development on top of the high impact permit. So I tried to give different options of how fees would be assessed. With just the general residential road impact fee of $1,400, with all fees total would be $3,920. Excluding the high impact permit, all fees for just the subdivision would be $2,845.75 with that $1,400 road impact fee. And then you can see where I did the WMRL, warehousing, mini warehousing, restaurant, light industrial, what they would be with those specific assessed fees. Mind you, I put below there that this does not include the school dedication fee of the $817.87, nor the Montezuma County water tap fee of $500 for them to sign off on the plat, and that doesn't include them purchasing their tap. That just includes Montezuma Water signing off on the plat saying that there's water availability, and their surveyor
I hope
fees.
that water line isn't under County Road CC, is it? Is it under the road? Because nothing cuts like, I had a gentleman tell me nothing cuts like new pavement.
The water line's on the right-hand side, I think.
Good, it's not under.
It's on the north side?
Not under the road? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Nothing, that's like.
Yeah. Because then you have a patch,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you have your road, I mean, then it just goes on and
Yeah,
on
we've
and
had
on.
two down McComa.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I will say that we have not charged in the past for Louis Areola's new station or other public service people. The difference here, I guess, would be that they are creating a new subdivision. I don't know how you guys want to
It's
look
really
at
not
that.
yeah.
So what you're saying is Los Ariola's, they rebuilt in the same spot.
They didn't create a new tract of land. They used their existing tract of land. And they are actually in the process of constructing a training facility on that tract as well. So,
So they're not creating any new land division?
No,
They're saying?
no.
This one does?
Correct. This one does. Again, it's not very far off of the highway. It's like 1/8 of a mile off the highway. So I'm not
Sure how much road impact that's gonna be, yeah.
well, I mean, I don't know. In the past, we've always been pretty lenient towards public service people.
Yeah.
Well, Commissioners, what do you think? What do you have?
Well, that's just the layout, if you wanted to look at that again. And they did include the community center, so that's something that's beneficial towards the community as well. So that could also add to the road impacts, as far as people pulling in and renting that place.
Which one was the cheapest one? The 28.45?
Yeah, that's with the subdivision fees, that's that middle section, and that would be with just the $1,400 minimum road impact fees for residential subdivision development, not going by square footage of the building under these down here. Yeah. Yeah, so looking at what we look at for square feet for commercial and industrial development, and it putting it, categorizing it into one of those areas is
Kind of tough to do, isn't it?
yeah, it is. So just trying to come up with something that would be.
Any thoughts, Commissioners? Commissioner Lambert, that's right up there in your backyard.
Almost literally.
Literally.
Well, you're going to get really quick response if something happens.
If you have a fire, they're going to be right in your neighborhood.
Right there.
Yeah.
Do I understand that you're proposing one of the 3 plus road impact fees?
I tried to give you a very broad spectrum of possibilities, so that number at the bottom.
I don't have them.
Okay, so the number on the bottom is basically the development fees or the high impact fees without road impact fees included.
These 3 numbers right here.
Yes, yeah. So those would be, I mean, that would honestly be the cheapest option if you decide to assess fees. Of course, road impact fees are the more, that affects things a lot more costly than most of our other application fees. So once we start doing that, whether or not you decide to go with just the general $1,400 for the development, or whether you decide to go with the square footage according to that bottom area down there, the cheapest option is the 43 cents a square foot for mini warehousing.
What do you Commissioners think?
$1,400 for road impact fees was figured from what? The
That's just our general residential.
General
So if you
residential.
just were to subdivide for a general residential development, a single lot development,
Yeah.
it is $1,400 plus $25 a mile that you are off the nearest highway. So that would be just for the subdivision, not going by the square footage.
Square footage of the
By that,
building.
yeah, by that
And that has the
10,000.
community center combined in it?
Yes, sir.
And so so you're saying the cheapest would be using the middle column here and the mini warehousing here combination. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean, that would be the cheapest if you wanted to assess road impact fees.
It's a brand new paved road, so it won't
Mhm.
be anything.
But you don't want that brand new paved road to get beat to death either. I mean, with the community, if it were just a fire station, I would be more lenient in how we assess the road impact fees. But without having a community center tied to it, that's going to be much busier place than just a fire station.
Okay.
I mean, I think. I mean, there's going to be more things held there, more traffic, more impacts from that, I would think.
I'm just
But
giving
we
you
are
your
talking
option.
about-
I know you are.
We are talking about Pleasant View.
That's true, yeah. I don't know how much, Gayla, how many times do they hold stuff at the community center, Dove Creek?
Or Pleasantview.
Or Pleasantview, I mean, I'm sorry.
At the school, if it's more than once a year, I'd be surprised. And of course, the current fire building has a little meeting room too, and I'm aware of it being used a couple of times
Yeah.
since I've been.
It's used a lot more than that.
Well, okay, I'm sure it is used more often than I'm aware of.
I went to
But it's not that often, I don't believe.
a
We had a meeting-
retraining there. I mean, it's a good,
And we went out there with DWCD, they had a meeting out there when they were rebuilding the pumping stations and stuff. They
and I think the
helped
CDOT meeting that we had over BD was held there.
It's probably, I would guess used at least once a month, average.
And they charge us.
And isn't there talks about maybe someday trading the old Pleasant View station with the county?
They were gonna offer it to us for sale.
For sale.
Well, maybe we need to know what the offer is. Maybe we'll do a little
Do some
bartering
quid
here.
pro quo.
Little horse trading here.
Well, and if you want me to table this until that has been.
But I think that's gonna
Yeah,
be a couple years down the road.
Yeah, that's gonna be
at
way down the
completion of
road.
that.
Yeah, they're getting this built and moved in, it's gonna be way down the road.
They have their training meetings there on Tuesdays, virtually every Tuesday, so the meetings that are gonna be there, there's gonna be several.
Are they, do you know if they're planning on, in this project, paving between Road CC, their aprons and stuff, will those abut right to CC, or do you know
I'm
what
not
their
sure
plans are?
what
how
their
they're
plans
gonna-
are.
What their driveways and stuff are gonna be
You know,
like?
I'm sure that it's going to be contingent on
Funding.
costs and, you know, their grants and
Well, I'd like to keep it as reasonable for them as we can, but also
Mm-hmm.
still cover our, I think that high impact column, that 1,900, and then with the $1,400 of 3345 would be fair.
Well, that'd be this and this.
well, the
$1,400
high
already
impact,
added into that.
the high impact, that's without the subdivision fees. It's
Right.
just the rezoning, the high impact, the publication, the driveway permit, recording, and then the road impact fees would be with what Commissioner Tell is proposing would be just the general $1,400 for doing a residential subdivision and not a, but they would still get, you know, the $500 for the industrial rezone.
Mhm.
That would be reasonable to me, I think.
I don't wanna burden them, but they also need to they're changing their scope and their,
Well, one of the things that they have, knowing what those fees are right now, would also help them in the cost of what they're doing, putting their proposal together.
yeah.
You
For the
know,
grant.
for the grant and things like that. I think that would be helpful to them. Would have been helpful to us if we would have known when we started.
Yeah. Our CC project, huh?
No, I'm thinking our building, our new courthouse,
Oh, yeah.
because the estimate on it versus the actual was
Mm-hmm.
significantly
Quite
different.
different, quite different, wasn't it? They missed that a bunch.
Double?
Yeah, double. Our friends at the.
Any way you look at it, it's tax money for tax money. So
Mm-hmm, yeah, that's.
So the 3345, is that what we're
I
looking
mean,
at?
I don't know, I want to be fair to them, and I want to be fair to us too. I mean,
Well, and
I
they're
wanna-
not significantly off the highway
Mhm.
very far, and the school, I mean, the school definitely, the impacts of the school is gonna be
a lot greater
more
than, yeah.
Especially when kids choking to death for the rest of their life.
Mhm.
right across the street, just
Yeah.
run across the road.
Yeah. Although it's not a manned fire station, is it? It's not manned.
No.
and I don't think it's going to be near the impact on the schools
As they think it might be.
Fires happen at night usually.
Usually.
I think he estimated 24 calls, if I'm correct, during,
During school day.
yeah,
That's not very
in a
many.
year.
Yeah.
And, they weren't 5-alarm
Yeah.
situations where,
The way that school is situated, the playground and everything is in the back.
yeah.
Mhm. So when they're outside playing and stuff.
Yeah,
they're
it's on
not-
the south side of the school.
Basically, the only problem time would be the bus loading done.
When they're dismissing or something.
Which, and we did have that discussion about them, like, wanting to put up a fence, and basically it was the bus drivers and the teachers that said
Couldn't
that.
access it, yeah.
That
That'll
is
make
gonna
it
make it
worse.
worse, it's gonna congest things worse
Now,
if
if
they,
you're going to make a fence, put up a fence, you wouldn't want to do it on that.
no, not on the
But
roadside.
you can do it from the school building
Oh, like east and west?
west.
Gotcha. Well, and I think from what we understand, we didn't have any comment from the school, and we did have from a couple, parents that did call the planning department, but I think we just decided that until there's an issue, let's not make an issue where there's not an issue.
Mhm.
And I've heard some complaints out there about that it's just basically complaining to be complaining. It's not,
Okay.
it's not something that's
Not
been thought out.
legitimate?
Yeah, it's not material necessarily.
For me, I see no downside to a fire station next to the school.
I don't either.
I see a downside to marijuana shop next to the school. I see a downside to,
A liquor store or?
yeah, I don't want it on, but.
Yeah, I can't.
Well, and Chief Yoder did go to the school and give a presentation prior to even the planning commission meeting, telling them, which I indicated to you previously, explaining to them the safety of fire trucks, and
Yeah.
they were kind of just like, duh, we know. Don't run out in front of a fire truck. And I think they do a lot for the school. They're very proactive. So you want me 33.5?
I'm good with that. Do you think that's a good number? Okay.
I'm with them.
Okay.
Okay.
$3,345.
Can I see that drawing that you got there?
Yes, sir.
You'll be able to look out your back window and see that.
He can run right up the hill.
They might put him on as a volunteer, he's that close. Have him down there to open
Go
up the
back,
station,
yeah.
get things fired up and ready for him.
You're welcome.
He's our official opener.
they do a lot of training out on the concrete pad, and in my opinion, it'd be good for kids to see how hard they work, and might even teach them some work ethic.
Might even create a few new volunteers, huh? Yeah. Might create some more interest in that.
I'm sorry, you're okay.
All right, we're kind of, James, you want to come on up?
Do you want that, Commissioner? Do you want me to make you a copy?
No, I just.
Which one do you want first?
Okay, why don't we start with the objection
Okay.
letter? We're under time frame on this one, so that's why I
Okay.
wanted to kind of put a lot of focus on this today.
Gotcha.
I did go through it. I did find a few typos. I can't guarantee I've caught all
hot
of them.
off the
but
press.
It is
Still
hot off the
warm.
press, yes. Let's see here. I may have
I think that's the original.
There's a couple pages there.
Get signed.
Here, I'll get them. John,
And I have a fresh copy so that we can sign that. So as I was saying, I did find a couple typos in there. I can't say that I've found all of them. This was kind of a rush. But I think, given the likelihood that we're going to be very effective.
I liked all your acreages comparisons.
Yeah, I did try to break that out to kind of take a broader look at what
Yeah.
we're looking at here
Yeah.
in the county. What we're always hearing is there's always a place for motorized to go to recreate, go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that, go up just a little bit.
After talking with Derrick for a little bit today, I think we're going to have some more opportunities through the objection process to work with them on this. We'll keep driving these points home as much as we can.
You know, for me, what I really take from this is we're stating it, when is enough enough?
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe someday down the future, as you stated here, you can walk anywhere you want in the forest.
Go anywhere.
But I believe that there will come a time when there's a push that they're saying, okay, from the Dolores Norwood Road, from there to the lake, nobody's allowed to walk up on that again. I mean, you got it, in my opinion, they just take a little, and they take a little, and
And more is never enough. More is never enough. They just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and they want.
And I love the point about the dogs. I tell you what,
Yeah,
a motorcycle versus a
beautiful.
barking dog,
Yeah,
wildlife,
Great.
that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of studies that are emerging.
That those dogs.
Dogs are more. They elicit a stronger response from
Sure.
wildlife than
Much
the
greater
motors
threat,
do.
yeah.
I mean, they're preconditioned to that. They've evolved over time.
Sure, with coyotes and wolves, and they
Sure.
don't see any difference between a barking, growling dog and a coyote or a wolf coming
They
out.
don't.
Yeah.
And a Chihuahua smells the same as a Great Dane, basically. So I mean, they can't. When they scent it, that's an alarm. And all hunters know that scent is the number one thing that those animals hate.
Mm-hmm.
I ran on that back ditch back by the elks that comes out here at the park yesterday, and I was telling my wife I had 7 dogs, and they're all were behind fences, but some of the fences didn't look like to me they'd be high enough. And I said, it scared me. I mean, because they see you running, they think their animal instinct is where there goes my prey.
Yep. And
she said, I was trying to figure out something that was about that long I could carry and flip out that'd be 4 foot and I could ding him in the head. And she says, well, you wouldn't want to kill them. And I said, the hell I wouldn't if they're trying to kill me.
I'll tell you what you do, you get a squirt gun and fill it with half water and half ammonia.
Oh, really?
And you give them a dose of that in the nose, and I guarantee you they will leave you alone. I learned that riding bicycles when I was a kid. We had fighting dogs that chased us, and
Yeah.
we loaded up squirt guns with ammonia in it. And that'll back them up.
And that pepper spray is really
Yeah,
cheap anymore too.
pepper spray, yeah.
One other, I did want to make the point. I mean, we're seeing this kind of heavy use cause a lot of impacts, creating a lot of problems, even in wilderness areas now. The Wiminuche Wilderness area, it's like a traffic jam up there sometimes. The Maroon Bells has already started, as I understand, some sort of a lottery system and a permit system. Everything can be overrun. Absolutely.
On the other note, though, you can go up there on the Colorado Trail above Durango, and if you're on a bike or motorcycle, well, I don't think you can. Can you? Yeah, you can.
I don't believe you can ride. I don't know if that's open for.
Okay. Say that it's just a bicycle, and you can get to where the boundary is of the wilderness. And for me, it's this simple. So you can look where you're going into the wilderness where you can't take the bike anymore. And then you can turn around and look at where you just came
Exactly
from.
the same.
It's exactly the same. There is nothing different except for something that says it's a
You
wilderness.
can't go here.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's different trees. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, quite frankly, I avoid wilderness areas just because, on the trails in wilderness areas, you sometimes have more use than you do on just kind of the obscure trail
Yeah.
in between roaded areas, and that's those, I call them the little honey holes. Those are the places I seek out because nobody else does.
Nobody else wants it, yeah. Doesn't.
They haven't got the allure that a wilderness area does, and unfortunately, that just kind of it's like running up a red flag. Hey, this is blue light special, and it's it does call more attention, and sometimes just not calling attention is better.
Pretty good, yeah.
So anyway, we've got more opportunity to work with Forest Service on this, but we have a deadline on this one, so if we choose to sign the letter, we need to get it in today.
I'll move that letter to DerrickPadilla, Dolores District Ranger, with the Dolores Public Lands Office concerning an objection to the Rico West Dolores Travel Management Plan be approved.
Fresh copy.
Second.
Motion second to approve a letter sent from the Montezuma County Commissioners on an objection to the Rico West Dolores Travel Management Plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. What else do you have?
Okay, I've worked on a letter for the SHPO. Now, this is kind of a rush job. If we're a little harsh on this, I can soften this up.
No.
Do you have a copy, Jim?
Yes, I got it.
Okay.
I had it.
Okay.
I'm not even positive that this is right. I mean, they're a 501c3. Like, I don't know what their responsibility is. I mean, other than
They're a 501c3 corporation?
that's what it says on their website. I mean,
Then-
if in fact that letter we got from them was
What the heck
this
are they doing?
History Colorado, right? I mean, and then the bottom of it says historycolorado.org. You go to historycolorado.org and click on the About button. It says they're a 501c3.
That's not.
I don't know. This is who we're responding to, though.
Yes.
And they're speaking on behalf of SHPO? Or, I mean, are these people
These
employees
people
of
are SHPO. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, they're using, that's the letterhead they're using, is History Colorado.
And my understanding has always been they are the same organization. I'm not saying I'm right about that, John.
And
that's
I don't
always
know
been my
either. I don't know either.
interpretation.
But that historycolorado.org, yeah, their website says that they're a 501c3.
I've looked up the legislation that enabled them and
Right.
given them the authority. Man, it is some really broad authority.
I mean, I haven't seen legislation that enabled them. I've seen the legislation that basically tells the BLM to run all this stuff by them.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I think I've seen that too.
But if
I'm
there's,
good for it,
if there's
John, and I'll
legislation
share
that
it with you.
enables them, then I would think that they're not a 501c3.
I wouldn't either.
I mean, they're an agency.
Yeah.
We got mixed signals coming here.
They're not a governmental agency.
If they're a
It sounds like they're a nonprofit. If they're a 501c3, they're some kind of a nonprofit.
I mean, I don't want to pretend like I know a whole lot about it, but I mean, that's this letterhead from History Colorado, and has their website on the bottom and their address. It is a 501c3.
Well, they sure seem to feel like they have a lot of authority and seem to feel like they want to
Well,
push
the
it around.
BLM's certainly listening to them.
Sure seems like it, yeah.
So
then what are you suggesting?
well, I mean,
That
you know,
should we read on
we
the
can
letter?
we can send it, but I don't know that we're exactly right. I mean, I feel like that if in fact, I agree that they have to work with BLM. BLM has to work with us. I don't know what their obligations are toward us, but you know, I still say we demand they consult with us.
Okay.
And so, you know, this letter demands that they consult with us, but we're kind of telling them what the law requires them to do. And again, if it was coming from me, I'd just be demanding that they
Yeah, I'm
consult
sorry
with
about
us.
that, John.
I wouldn't necessarily tell them that they, you know, are required to under a certain law. I'd just say, talk to us. We're demanding that you do.
Okay, I can certainly make those changes. I mean, this letter, we don't have a hard time frame on it. We want it fastest off with our time frame, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
We can maybe send it out next week, and I'll talk to you about it.
Okay, maybe a little more research on where we're at, with what those guys really are, and
Yeah.
why they have the authority. And I didn't mean to implicate you, John.
Well, you know, that's okay.
I don't feel like I can interpret law either.
You can throw my weight around in different ways than I can.
Well, then, why don't we make those,
Let's just-
on your approval,
let's
make
do
the
it next week,
changes,
yeah.
and then we'll, I don't know, we have to wait till the 8th, which is probably gonna be
No,
plenty
put
of
the-
time. Huh? What's that?
Ms. McAfee was suggesting that we insist that they speak with us, and I like demanding, but I'll talk to James about how we might reword it.
All right, then let's bring it, let's bring it back up on the 8th. Is that okay, commissioners? Is that soon enough?
Because I don't mind being really direct as long as we know where we're.
Yeah.
Right.
Just wanna make sure we're really correct.
Well, this might have lots of fingers to it by the time this is done.
Okay. You'll give us a chance to talk to, I've talked, well, I'm probably going to get to talk to the governor, but I can talk to Ernest House, and I bet John Schwartz will talk to him.
It would be nice to talk to Ernest House Jr. and the Lieutenant Governor, Donna,
Right,
is
yeah.
running, and she's the one that wrote it out there,
Right.
so she's seen it firsthand. I mean, it's ironic that the Lieutenant Governor's spent more time out there than the
Therefore, this refusal
Chip
to open it up, yeah.
And we've got an opportunity to maybe build something with the new tribe on this too, so that's probably worth some effort right there.
See, their letter has. They claim that they're. I don't know.
Well, we ought to get to the bottom of that, John. Who we're dealing with.
Yeah.
If we're dealing with a state agency, and a federal agency, or are we dealing with a 501c3?
Or both, like some sort of hybrid is what I'm feeling like they are, because certainly there is statutory authority that says that the BLM has to work with them, but they're a 501c3 according to what they have on their website. So, I mean, they are kind of a state agents, I don't know.
And so asking other counties, nobody really knows the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Sounds a little bit like Tri-State. Publicly traded utility made up of 43 co-ops. That's sort of a hybrid too.
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten my head around it.
I've still got to answer to my shareholders, but I'm a public utility.
So, possibly a hybrid.
Yeah. So it sounds like.
I guess that's it for you gentlemen. I do plan to be out of the office first this week. Since we're only working 2 days, I'm going to take those 2 days and try to get up to visit my dad real quick. And did check with all the federal agencies. It doesn't sound like we're going to have any opportunity to work with any federal agencies during that week. And so is Connie. She's going to be here, just will not.
Lynn had a question. Does she need to be at the meetings tonight? For minutes or anything?
I don't think so. I mean, you guys can demand that she's there, but what all? So, I mean, what is you all's role even there?
I think we're just there as monitors.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the decision-making process between the extension office and the,
Yeah.
we will ultimately approve that MOU, but I don't think
And
it'll be
that's after
approved.
the fact that everything,
Well,
all the
that
provisions are
that
done.
won't be tonight.
Right. Yeah.
I just
So.
wanted to make sure.
Well,
I was in the middle of cooking dinner, like, where are you? Oh my God, I didn't know I was supposed to be there.
I think that you're right. You know, we're not making decisions, we're asking questions. And
I don't know if we're getting feedback and people's input, and then, but our action is going to be
Later at a-
later take the signing the MOU that they come
Well,
to
that
the
should be
three of them.
brought to a commission meeting.
Thank you.
Cook dinner, cook a good dinner.
She will be.
all right.
Anything else?
Did you hear anything from Scott Tipton's representatives, whether he?
I think, they said they're checking his schedule. I have not heard back from them any. He wanted some additional information on the Dolores Norwood Road so that Congressman Tipton could have some history on it, but I haven't heard anything. Have you?
I haven't heard anything.
So I'll make it.
I tell you, but and I don't know if it's too late, but, you know, Senator Bennett, Senator Gardner, and Scott Tipton are proposing that bill.
This exact same thing.
To
They
do the
didn't include
land,
us.
yeah, and for Dolores County, for the west, or for the fire station at the West Fork.
Right.
This could be tied right to that.
This should have been tied right to it, and if it
Yes.
still can, it should be. Honestly, it's the exact same idea.
Yeah. And just tie them together.
I didn't know they were doing that. I read that in an article.
I didn't know they were doing that either.
Like
which is
last
very-
week or something, I read
Yeah, and I
that.
was like,
Did you
why?
give additional information to that?
To Juan?
Yeah.
No.
I was just wondering if maybe if you give him that Dolores Norwood history, ask him if that can be
Yeah.
tied together, that would be.
Yeah, I will.
So who has it?
I mean, I have. I mean, we all probably have the Dolores Norwood history that we had done. Yeah. Right.
And I will ask them if they know anything about the schedule.
I mean, James is probably their best contact as far as.
That's fine. And, you know, any of that information that you need, or if you want me to send it on.
Can you send them?
Absolutely.
Send that to them and ask them what else they want. I mean, I don't know that we want to overwhelm them with stuff. You know, just a quick synopsis of.
Sure. Okay, I can do that.
I'll see the last email I had from you.
Okay.
But right, I read an article. I think maybe it was last week or
It was
so,
last
and I thought we need to be included in this.
Same thing I thought.
Yeah.
John, do you want me to bring that up to when I send this information, or do you want to?
Yes.
That piece of it?
You bring it up and tell them, feel free to talk to me or somehow put me in touch with Juan. Is it Juan?
It's not. No, it isn't, it's Jose.
Oh, I'm
Jose.
sorry.
Jose,
That's I shouldn't. It's like
If-
Jose.
If we're gonna meet with, or have a chance to meet with Scott, it's gonna have to be during these next 2 weeks. I think,
During his recess.
not this week necessarily, I think they've got their hands full this week.
Or whatever we got to do to make that happen.
And I would like, I had a visit with both Julie Keipel and Steve Garcher. And we need, they would like to have a meeting with Montezuma County Commissioners, a lunch meeting or something, and some kind of a gathering they want to discuss the NCA and some other issues with us. And, so if we could do that maybe sometime in January, get one of our lunches, meetings with them.
But James, if we could get in Jose's ear immediately, ASAP, we probably need to get in his ear.
Spoke with both of them, and they're all in support of it. Tentatively.
I don't know what their schedule is. Do you only meet once a month?
Once a month, I think they
And I don't know if they wanted to do it on that day or if they prefer to do it on a different day. If I know what day it is, then I can try to do a longer lunch for that day.
I'm not sure what day they're, you know what Dolores County, what they do.
For some reason, I want the third, but I don't have any idea. I don't know why.
Do you have their emails? What I'm wondering, what would be nice is for them to see this objection that we are doing on the RICO West Dolores Travel Management Plan.
Yeah, I can certainly get it to them. All I have is their county email.
And that's all I've ever heard is that they want everything to go to the county and then they're supposedly forwarded on to the three commissioners. One thing I've ever heard.
That doesn't really make sense. What if you have somebody in there that's objectable, that is forwarded to, I've never realized that an email address costs so much money than anybody else.
I don't think they're that high.
Well, I can give Julie a call and just let her know that it's kind of.
Well, Julie isn't gonna like it. I'm actually wanting the other two commissioners to see it. See, Julie's all on board with this. And my opinion is that the other two commissioners would have their eyes open by reading this. And that's why I was hoping it could be bundled. Because in my opinion, she would throw it in the trash bin.
Okay.
But maybe I'm wrong.
All right, well, we can make sure they all know they're.
I'm looking at directory, or that CCI directory, of Dolores, are they listed in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're under CCI, so we'll check that.
But their website
It's just-
only gives
There's one county address.
But they have that, I know what you're talking about, that booklet they give us that
They got phone numbers in
it
it.
gives the phone numbers and the addresses, email
I think
addresses
so,
for the
too.
commissioners.
I think so too.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
public comment.
Any public comment? You come up.
Merry Christmas, gentlemen. If I
Merry
don't see you all
Christmas.
before-
Have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Yeah, come on up, Greg.
We just fixed the batteries for you.
Yes, I know that. Greg Kemp, Road 35, Mancus. If I read it correctly, the last issue of the Cortez Journal said that as of January 1st, they are not going to have a print edition anymore. It's going to be totally digital. And if that's the case, I don't know what the county's obligation is as far as publishing legal notices and so forth. I just thought I'd bring it to your attention.
Digital option, not the only option.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. I want to make sure I read it correctly. It sounded to me like they were just not going to have a print edition anymore.
No, what they're gonna do is they're gonna charge if you want the digital. You get, I think it's 3 stories, and then you have to pay
Yeah.
for that. They're just gonna charge for the digital. They're not.
But you
Well-
can already do it. You can already do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you buy the paper, the regular one, I think you get the
Yeah.
digital.
But
Is that right? Because I just get the digital, I don't have the paper.
Well, but I think it's changing in January.
Yes.
January, if you want to only do the digital, you're going to have to pay. Because
But I am paying for just the digital right now.
Oh, so
I'm not
you-
paying for a paper, I'm just
But
paying
you're
for
paying
digital.
digital, if you're already paying, but see, you can get it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Digitally
just go to
right
their
now.
website. You can just go to their website and get it all for nothing.
The whole paper?
I don't know if it's 100% of the paper. I think you get more.
But they give you a menu option up there. You go down through obituaries, editorials, you can track them all the way back for a couple of months, and, I mean, there's.
Maybe it's all at 100%, but I thought it
I
was
wouldn't say
limited.
I don't know it's
We don't-
100%, but it's a heck of a
The,
lot.
the legals, I don't think are on there.
No, I don't think they.
Just the stories.
Okay, well, I'm glad I misread it, because I thought it was going to be eliminated.
And I'm glad you brought it up because I think I'm paying for something that I shouldn't be paying.
It's a significant change, though. I mean,
It is a change, yes.
Anybody else on
But
that?
none of us are paying for it, we're getting for free.
All right, seeing none, we will close the public comment and we will entertain a motion unless there's any further business.
Just on a note of broadband, ZoomerCon, I had a meeting with them at my house yesterday, and they are doing very, very well. They're very, very excited. They're moving.
We switched over to them.
Yeah, so did I.
We have too. And I haven't had any problems in service or.
Yeah, and he showed the download speeds. He said the upload speed, he said right now is not as fast because most of what people are wanting are digital streaming and movies and stuff like that. They're not uploading a bunch of information and stuff, but I've got 10.6 megabytes right at my house.
You're a kid.
No, right off of that tower at Annex 1.
The line of sight.
Not unless you pay the fee.
Yeah.
That one you have to pay the fee.
But no, they're very excited and things are going very, very well for them. Would you go get me an envelope?
Yes.
Thank you. Since you delivered him an empty one though, unless you're putting money in it.
That one has money in it.
Oh, man. Well, get me that one then, would you? I want that one.
It's not mine though.
Somebody's playing on.
What, a $20 bill?
Government official.
What'd you get paid off for?
He likes me.
He owes you money.
Our Christmas.
I was just it sold me. That was